3, 2. Still old music.
Untap.
Welcome back to MTGYou, the Magic the Gathering podcast for you. I'm James.
That's no bacon tree. It's a ham bush. I'm Blades.
We need healing aloe plants. I'm Rich.
I like the way you work it.
No diggity.
I'm Damon.
It's Thursday, the 2nd of October, 2014. We're coming to you live from Studio U. Thanks for joining us. This is episode 53. And today we're celebrating our 1-year anniversary. Woot!
Yeah.
We're a little over, but like episode-wise.
Oh, jeez.
You just waited. You just looking right at me, too. He's like, haha, Rich is talking.
I was looking back at the episode, and I'll do that again. Here we go.
Upkeep.
Yeah, I did do that on purpose that time. Totally on purpose. Our first episode was Friday, September 27th, 2013. So it was just days ago.
Oh, awesome.
September. Yeah, so it was at least 5 days ago, right?
Yeah, but this is the same week it happened in.
Right.
So this is the first time we've had a show since that. So this is our 1-year anniversary. And today we're going to be looking back at Magic this last year, at us this last year, and how we've grown, and some funny times, and some sad times, and some
crying involved.
Yeah. Get your tissues.
So kind of like how Khans is going like blast in the past. You know, we're doing that too.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. What happened in the news this week, guys? I know our doc says nothing, but there's got to be something.
That's exactly what happened in the news. I honestly like it. So, I mean, there was a couple SCG tournaments this last
Some
weekend
opens that happened.
that showed off some of the new standard.
Yeah.
We had Jeskai Tempo take one of them down.
Some Abzan mid-range was all over the place.
Mono Green Devotion was really running around all over the
Green,
place.
everything was everywhere.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, no control lists. I mean, like, there's a
That-
lot of people, you know, yelling, it's dead. But I think, like we talked about, you know, it's just going to change, and so...
No, it normally takes a few weeks for the control to sprout out.
Right.
Well, we need to
Bloom.
know what the threats are so that the
Exactly.
control knows how to combat it, right?
Effectively deal with it.
And isn't that how a new set is? You start out really aggro.
Aggressive, yeah.
Yeah, which surprisingly there was not nearly as many Mardu lists as I thought there was going to be, but it was pretty interesting. Actually, some Jeskai Delve type decks and an Abzan Delve deck too. Like, it was kind of interesting. There's actually some graveyard strategy builds that ended up seeing top 8 play too. So
Yep.
it seems like it's a pretty wide open format, which is great.
And there was
perfect.
one Abzan kind of control, or sorry, not Abzan. There was one Mardu.
Mardu.
Yeah, there was
Control.
like Dega,
Like, yeah,
Dega,
like
red, white,
mid-range.
blue. Sorry, red, white, black. Yeah,
Yeah, like that kind of a list, especially like the demon.
Butcher
With
of the Hordes.
the Butcher of the Hordes plus like a bunch of tokens to be able to like activate his
He's
different
so good with
abilities.
Mardu Ascension or Ascendancy
Yeah.
and the tormented. I want to say tormented hero.
Oh, the
Bloodsoaked
guy
champion.
Bloodsoaked champion.
He seems
yeah.
so good with that.
Yeah.
And Goblin Rabble Master because you
Right.
sack the tokens.
Exactly.
So you think? I mean, we don't have any big news coming from Wizards right now. What's the next? What's the next thing to drop?
The next set.
I mean, yeah, not the set,
next
but you know,
products?
there's products that they're always
I
bringing
think it's
products.
probably going to be the Commander decks.
Yeah.
I think
this
the
fall.
There's
Commander
the
They haven't
Commander
really
decks.
released-
When's that box? When's the holiday
we will
box
actually
coming out?
Probably know closer to game day, which is not this weekend, but it's going to be the weekend of the 11th, right?
That seems fast.
Yeah, that's quite a
that
bit
fast?
fast.
Didn't it just release last week? Because it's usually a month after release date.
Oh, I always thought it was 2 weeks.
The
No, it's-
weekend
it's
of
one-
the
it's 4 weeks
11th is
after.
actually the Pro Tour.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Pro Tour. So it's probably going to be the
It's like
week.
Pro Tour in 2 weeks, and then
Another 2 weeks after
then 2 weeks
that.
after that is game
Oh,
day.
okay, cool. So
So
we
everyone-
probably will know those questions closer to the game day or Pro Tour for the next product to come out.
Nice.
Yeah, and they usually do some cool announcements as far as product is concerned,
I'm actually going to
or
look up the
reveals.
date real quick. Just to be sure.
You know, like because right now we know that we get like a Teferi or Teferi, Teferi.
Dude, you're phasing.
Anyways, Teferi Planeswalker, and they're giving us new Planeswalkers. They're going to be allowed in. No, it was a good joke.
You know, this is the thing that I'm happy to talk about today is that the chemistry here is so much better than it was on that first show. And I'm
It's
going to
at
play
least-
a few. I'm going to play a few minutes of that first show tonight.
It's at least
gonna be
different.
So
You
so
brought
fun.
razor blades, right?
Yeah, no, I had my wife lock the razor blades away because it really is something to listen to, and everybody needs to hear it. So.
Game day is October 18th and 19th. What? That was
so
1
it's
week
actually
off.
A week off.
Okay.
So it's a week after Pro Tour.
Because
then.
this Pro Tour is actually a week.
They
late
gave everybody a
itself.
little bit extra
I'm
time for this Pro
excited
Tour.
because my sister gets married on the 11th, so I actually can make game day.
Yay.
Sorry.
A little
awesome.
personal information there, so that's good.
Yeah, my
Okay. Fate Reforged. Anyway, don't know where that came from, except the chat room.
Right.
Okay. Let's move along.
Draw step.
And at the beginning of our draw step, we always do Clique You, except for when we don't.
It's except for when we don't.
And it's going to be one of those days.
But yeah, I feel like we actually have kind of a lot of content to get through today.
We do. So we're going to move right along, and I want to go to. I'm going to. Oh, that was supposed to be bigger than that.
That's what she totally did not say.
Okay. Blades card. Monastery Swift Spear. 1 red for a creature, human monk. 1/2. It's an uncommon. Has haste and prowess.
Way to go.
There you go.
So it gets bigger.
Prowless.
All right.
Tell me about this card.
So this guy has been seeing a lot of reference to Goblin Guide, whereas Goblin Guide costs 1 for a 2/2 haste that makes you reveal your opponent reveal the top card of their library. If it's a land card, it goes into their hand. He's seen a lot of play in Legacy, and now it's starting to appear like the Swift Spear is seeing a lot more play in Legacy instead, because he's like all the goodness without any of the drawback. He can also get bigger and make much more of a difference. Last week for FNM, I actually played this guy in a mono red deck.
All 1-drops, right?
All 1-drops. The only non-1-drop card in the deck is Stoke the Flames.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy was pretty good in it.
This is really good.
Seems
this is
like
a
it
good
was like-
card. In fact, I'm thinking this goes into my red deck, don't you?
You can go like
Absolutely.
Foundry Street Denizen to into like turn 1, turn 2 this guy, and then like shock. And you're, like,
yeah,
attack
a
for
lot-
3, 4, 5.
A lot of
Yeah.
the times it's a heroic enabler,
4,
whether it's
5, 6,
the Satyr Hoplite or
Yeah,
the other
With
hero
hammer-
guy that gives you 1/1 guys with
Yeah.
haste.
Yeah,
The
this is
Crowing
amazing.
Crusader.
And then hit one of those turn 1, and then turn 2 you play this guy, and then something to trigger heroic that also triggers this guy, and then you just swing through for just a buttload.
That's crazy.
Yep. And then you just continue to do it with a hammer hand. That's actually a pretty big threat in it as well.
Like
It's
your
a
courser
good-
can't block. Rawr.
Yep. Get in there. Absolutely. It was turn 4, turn 5 kills all the time. I got the list off of Saito. He was posting a lot of deck lists right before on Friday morning, and that I just dug in and I found this list and I just played it to a pretty good finish at FNM. And this guy is absolutely no joke.
Wow. Got to pick up some of him.
Absolutely.
Did you get some in your box there?
And it's Steve Argyle's artwork.
Oh,
too.
there
Yeah.
you go.
Like,
Utah
I think
local.
That seems like the kind of the artwork that he was like leaking
a little
out
bit.
last year.
There was one that had the sword, but this has
She
the same.
hasn't. I don't think I've seen that artwork.
I
yet,
think that was one that was
so-
probably never used, and so, or maybe it's coming up,
in the
but
next set or something.
and maybe that's why. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
all right. I'm going on unless you guys have anything else on that one. Okay, my card this week is Necropolis Fiend, 7 black for a 4/5 creature demon with delve, flying, and X tap exile X creatures from your graveyard. Target creature gets -X until end of turn. I think this is going to go someplace. I ordered a few of these because they're around 70-80 cents right now.
Yeah.
And so I ordered a few of them because I think that this is going to be one that might see some play here. And if it does, it could go up, quite a bit. Especially since it's okay. So you're saying 9 mana, but hey, it has delve. In the right deck, this is going to get really cheap, and then it has built-in removal. You can just pick off.
Yeah, there's talk of
Pick
like
off
this
the threats.
This guy being the new. Wow, I just lost his name.
Desecration Demon?
Tombstalker.
Oh.
Tombstalker, yeah.
This is like the new Tombstalker, but just by the fact that it's able to remove, delve their graveyard and kill things basically. But I don't know if I'm sold on it. 9 mana is a lot.
It is. It's hard. It's
For 4 or
hard to
5.
get there. So unless you really had some graveyard theme,
You
going
definitely
on.
need some enablers to go with him, and he sort of fights the rest of your other delves since he exiles cards from your graveyard
But,
to
like,
kill other things. So
Maybe in a mono black list.
Yeah,
it's
certainly.
not,
I would think.
that cares about their graveyard. They just delve. Like Mercer Cut's like the only other thing they could possibly run, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm curious to see, but
Yeah.
this is definitely one that does not work well with others. However,
it's like a dragon does not play well with others.
Yeah. Anyway, next up we have Jeskai Ascendancy, a blue, a red, and a white for a rare enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Untap those creatures. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you may draw a card. If you do, discard a card. Rich?
Finally picking something that's not green or black. What's wrong with me? I'm really excited for this card. It is so good. You play mana dorks, and then you play all of the cantripping spells, and you just produce tons of mana, and it's Storm. Like, there was a list that saw top 8 play in a modern event at Star City Open that was playing this with, like, Noble Hierarchs and Birds of Paradises and stuff like that, and play like Gutaxian Probes, Manamorphose, Glittering Wish.
If you played this with the Monastery
Monk.
Monk,
Swift Spear.
it would get +2/+2 on for just one whenever you play something.
Yep,
Oh, hey.
and untaps, which is actually the big part of it.
Right, yeah. So, like...
Sorry to derail your
yeah, I was
conversation
like,
there.
that has nothing to do with the cool combo I'm talking about, but
I am
sure.
sorry. I am sorry.
So,
Boy, I got to learn to not interrupt.
It's cool.
Really do.
I understand. Sorry. The Jeskai
I really got to
Ascendancy,
learn not to interrupt.
He basically, though, whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you get to untap your guys. So the idea is with your mana dorks, you tap them and add mana, and you cast a spell. So you have 3 mana dorks out. They untap your mana dorks, and you just produce more mana to cast like 1-drop effects to basically draw through your deck. And also, you're drawing and discarding, like drawing your lands and discarding, whatever. Try to dig through your deck basically, and combo out, and you can just grape shot and win. And I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna play it. I'm excited. It's awesome. I'm actually thinking about looking into playing this even in Standard, because we've got tons of the stuff like Kyora's Follower and like Voyage and Satyrs, and if you build kind of like a Devotion style deck, you could probably go off of like Villainous Wealth or Crater Claws. So I'm kind of curious to play around with this card. It seems like a lot of fun. So
And the fact that you can play Glittering Wish is like...
yeah, well that's the thing, because they run just one on the sideboard, right? So you're like Glittering Wish, go find my Jeskai Ascendancy.
And for you guys who don't know, Glittering Wish is like a green and a white for instant, right?
No,
That's
sorcery.
a sorcery
Uh,
that goes and finds a card from your sideboard and puts it in your hand.
A card you don't.
That's
A
multicolored.
multicolored card you don't own. That's not in your deck. Basically, you own that's outside of the game and put it in your hand. So you can also find like there's like they just run a
Manamorphose.
toolbox sideboard
Yep.
with Glittering Wish, which is amazing. The only bad thing is it exiles itself. But I'm excited. I want to play it. It's sweet.
Okay, and lastly, Damon has this card, and it's bigger, so it's not going to fit on the screen right. So I have to like fix this just a second. Let me see if I can get this right here.
So this one is Flying Crane Technique, which is
Oh, man.
some number of...
Let me fix this. Anyway,
Colorless
just keep
mana.
going.
I want to say it's like 3, maybe, colorless.
3 colorless, and
And then Jeskai
Jeskai.
colors, right? So red, white, blue. And then it says creatures you control gain flying and double strike until the end of turn. So that's cool. But the thing that's super cool is like, if you guys have heard us talk about the Proxy Factory guys in the past, and they just come up with some really like fun stuff. You also may remember a long time ago when we first learned about the Jeskai that I referred to them as like the Kung Fu Panda cast. And like somebody else was obviously brilliant and saw the same thing that I did. And so they did a proxy of Flying Crane Technique with like one of the covers of Kung Fu Panda on it. And it just is like,
It's so cool.
it's just super
I
cool.
wanna
Like
make
if
a
it was a
proxy
good
of
enough
this.
card for my cube, I would run it in my cube. But it's just not. But it's super cool. I really like the
it's
art
way
and stuff.
cute.
So, anyways, that's my card. Is I guess our Clique You this week could be the Proxy Factory
It really should be.
community on Google
Yeah,
Plus.
which is amazing.
Yeah, so we can link them in the show notes probably.
Yeah, talk a little bit more about them as far
So-
as how to find them and stuff like that.
What's really cool, you can also go to like Zerby or Z's Proxy Factory. If you search Z's Proxy Factory in Google, you'll find it. But anyways, it's this group of guys that proxies Magic cards, and
They have contests.
they have contests on a regular basis. And then one of these stores, they sponsor them and actually give away in-store credit to the winners of these contests, and they're judged internally.
Right.
And so, anyways, they're really, really
I
big
wanted to show this one because
Oh, yeah.
this is one Damon has done.
And I entered. I
And
didn't
he
get
entered,
last place.
He didn't get last place with it, and rightly so. Look at that.
And it's a
Reoccurring
it's Rescue from the Underworld?
Nightmare.
A recurring nightmare.
Yeah, Recurring Nightmare. And it's the Ben Templesmith's artwork from
Yeah.
10 grand.
And so the idea is like, and all the cards on the bottom say not for sale, and so like they're not trying to cheat people out of money. Certainly not trying to break Wizards of the Coast copyright. What they're trying to do is appreciate Magic for an art form, and they do like a lot of borderless stuff. They go, they just make really, really pretty cards. So if you have a nice printer and you're interested in having some of the cards, like these guys do cool stuff. If you're interested in making them yourself, they also sort of teach you how to do that as well. So that's, I don't know, it's a super cool community. It is invitation only, so you'd have to request, but they let pretty much everybody on as long as you're not a jerk. So for all of our fans, I mean, it's sort of an auto include. But anyways, that's my card for the week.
Okay.
Do.
No, it wasn't at all.
Okay.
I was just being a jerk.
I was like, I'm sorry. to interrupt
Rich
you.
was wondering why I was being a jerk about interrupting him, he's like, so is that because I interrupt you? And I'm like, no, I was just being a jerk.
Because I do that a lot.
I
sorry.
didn't mean anything by it except that I was just trying to annoy you, Rich. I really was just annoying you. It didn't have any ulterior motives at all.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move along to
Main phase.
yeah, that's right.
This is where the magic happens.
And this is where the magic happens, which you'll hear that later, too. I have that. Wow. So, our 1 year anniversary, guys. Boy,
Yeah.
we've made it all the way to 1 year without the band breaking up.
Episode 53 tonight. It's,
Yeah. And we also have put out 52 episodes.
Right.
How did that happen? I don't know. Anyway, so we just want to start by telling the story. Who wants to tell the story of how we got together, man?
Well, I don't know. Actually, James, it kind of originated with you, so maybe you should start telling the story, and then I'll jump in when my part happens, and we'll all kind of add as we go.
Okay. So
When a mommy and daddy love
I
each
was
other
going to say the
very
same thing, and
much.
then I thought differently. And of course, Blake
There's
brought it
no
up.
filter.
Yeah. So I
On this end of
podcasted.
the
I
table.
started podcasting back in 2004, 2005, and then I gave it up. I loved it, but but then everybody started doing it, and so then I didn't want to do it anymore because it was the cool thing. And once it became the cool thing, then hamsters and no, I don't know.
That's an inside joke.
Back to the hamsters.
But then I gave it up because actually the reason I gave it up is because I realized that the best way to have a podcast is to have people you can podcast with. It's hard. I was trying to do a podcast on my own, and it's not very easy to talk to yourself. But when you have immediate feedback, and so that's I always wanted to do one, but I was looking for.
I don't know what you're saying. I mean, I monologue all the time.
I bet you do.
Rich just keeps talking.
You heard the Commander episode, right? Like, I kind of felt bad after that. And I'm interrupting you, too.
No, well, okay, I just think it's fine. So I was looking, but I got interested in Magic, and I'm like, hey. Then I met Blades, and I'm like, hey, we should do this podcast thing because I started listening.
Because
to
Blades also
Magic.
independently was into podcasting as well,
He
right?
listened to podcasts. Yeah, he was
was.
like, and at a time or two, we're like, hey, so what you listening to lately? And we
Get an idea on what's good out there and what else each other is missing.
And then one day I was like, hey, Blades, we should do a podcast. And he's like, okay, let me think about that. Okay. And then we were talking about it out loud, and John, the store owner of Heebie Jeebies, said, oh, I know someone that should podcast with you. And he mentioned Damon. And
Yes.
and you said you'd contact Damon, so you did.
Yes, and then I contact Damon, and he's like, oh my God, I love this idea. We've been thinking about doing the same thing. let me get my buddy Rich into this. Which
And then
And that's where it just went into
went
crapper.
to crap.
yes.
Just kidding.
Which I had past experiences with Rich, and all of them had been good at least. I wish I would have had a little bit more.
I actually knew Rich, but I didn't know I knew Rich.
Right.
I found pictures later.
Yeah,
that,
so like, because I worked at the Leighton store, and they came by the Leighton store, and I
My
taught
kids-
his kids how to play Kaijudo. Or we
Yeah.
played Kaijudo for a
Kaijudo on
day.
Kaijudo Day
On
or
Kaijudo
something.
Day, yeah.
Anyway, Damon, you take it from there.
Well, yeah. So Rich and I Rich had his buddy Kevin, who we've now had on the show a couple of times, who was doing the Rogue Deckbuilder.com. And like Rich and Kevin were buddies from the way back and had kind of tossed around the idea of producing content a couple times. And then, life happened. Rich moved north.
He
Kevin
moved
stayed south.
Yeah.
And so Kevin sort of took off on his own. And so Rich was like, man, my buddy, he's like just doing these YouTube videos. And he's like really popular. I feel like we should do YouTube videos. I'm like, dude, that sounds freaking sweet. So how do you edit video? And Rich is like, I don't know, man.
I'm sure I could figure it out.
And I'm
There's
like,
a YouTube video for that, I'm sure.
and I'm like, sweet, because I have no idea how to do any of the tech stuff. And he's like, right. But we should totally do it. I'm like, yeah,
We should totally do
we
it.
totally should. As soon as you have time to edit all the video and make it happen, like I will sit there and talk with you. And of course, life's really busy. And James, I don't know where he gets all of his energy from, but basically,
lot of it.
I was approached by Blades, and he's like, "Yeah, so James
Dr.
already."
Pepper. That's where I get my energy, in a can.
And so basically, Blades was just like, "Yeah, so James kind of knows how to do all this stuff from a tech perspective." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, we need to bring Rich on because we've been talking about this idea." And like we have no idea how to work any of the tech, and so it was kind of like just a bringing together of like-minded people that had different skill sets. Because James was, I guess, in some ways not as experienced with Magic,
In
but definitely
every
knew,
way, not as experienced with Magic.
but definitely knew how to podcast and was a programmer and like had this whole other different skill set. So it was really, I don't know, it was really cool how that all worked out.
Yeah. And those first few episodes, how did you feel when we did those first few episodes? I know what was going through my mind, but what was going through your mind on the first time we sat down in front of a mic and like I had all this stuff set out and you're like, okay, there's a microphone here and
So the first couple of episodes, me and Damon had to share a mic.
That's true.
So that was awkward enough on its own.
We were definitely in kissing distance.
It
the
was
entire
like
time.
it was pretty bromance, but I mean, it was I don't know. For me, it was pretty nerve-wracking. It felt weird, kind of like just throwing it out there. You know what I mean? Like I'm still kind of shocked every day. I'm like, podcasting. That's a thing, I guess. But
especially since you actually don't listen to podcasts.
right,
Yeah.
but yeah, it just I don't know. It was kind of nerve-wracking.
He doesn't
at
even listen to his
first.
own podcast. No, actually he
No,
does.
Rich listens to our podcast on repeat, but
Well, because anyway,
right, he's Rich. Rich likes to get better at things, and so he likes to sort of critique.
He does. He totally goes back
I'm the
and
biggest
and,
self-critic
and,
ever.
and he tells us what we did wrong too. And no, just kidding.
But anyways, and what was really cool is that James kind of had a little bit of a built-in audience to start marketing ourselves
Oh,
to.
yeah.
Outside of just people we knew in the shop, because like the problem with doing anything creative when you already know somebody. Like, I go, hey, you should listen to my podcast about Magic. I'm like, dude, Damon, I played you at FNM last week, and you made like 3 mistakes. I'm not going to learn how to play Magic from you. You're
I
terrible.
beat you. Why should I
Right.
listen to you and your
And
advice?
so it's actually, in a lot of ways, kind of hard to market yourself like to your friends because
They know
they
what-
know
what
too
they-
much about you.
I
know
talk
what
to
a
you on a
trope
regular
and you
basis.
are.
Why would I go
Right.
download something just so I can listen to you
Right.
again?
Although that was our first audience, really. That and like I said, I had the Magic Minute, which is now sort of on hiatus. It's in the retooling stage.
Right.
I'm working on something new with that one, so it's not going anywhere at the moment. But that was my podcast, and I had I don't know how many listeners. Many of you guys came from there, from the Major Spoilers Network, and
Right.
have come over, and we've picked it up that way. So then we started live. It was live, sort of, wasn't it? I mean, it wasn't
Yeah.
live like it is now.
Right. I mean, now we're on Twitch and stuff, but at the beginning, we would record and
You could hear people laughing and giggling in the
Because
Hear
we're
the
in a
door
shop.
opening up.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Sometimes they would cheer when we said something that.
Right.
or yell like, "You guys are wrong."
Yeah. It was kind of like
We
having a
had a-
chat room that would yell at
There
you.
was a peanut gallery, yeah. They definitely
Yeah.
just disagreed with you loudly from time to time. And I don't know. It was like I wasn't. I don't think any of us were quite sure where it would go at the beginning, right?
I don't think so.
We were all like, well, like because I kind of casually knew Blades. I'd played against him at game day a long time ago and knew that he was a good player from a shop that I didn't play at regularly. I didn't know James from Adam.
I didn't know Damon at all.
And then Rich and I, we were.
And I
buddies.
hardly actually knew Blades. I mean, let's be honest. I didn't really know you guys at all.
Yeah,
I mean, we knew
had
each other a
few.
little bit from just playing together at F&M.
Right, we all just had this crazy idea that we should do
Yeah.
a thing, but we also weren't sure the thing would work out all the way. I think I don't know. Blaze, were you at all like hesitant in the beginning?
No, I was gung ho. Like I was getting all this ideas about it because James, from the few interactions that we had, he seemed like a fairly genuine guy, and it was
Got him fooled.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry.
you buy me dinner every Thursday night. We'll see who got who fooled. But yeah, like as far as that went, like I call me gullible or whatever. Just I felt I had a whole bunch of good feelings about James. Beyond that, like I was just looking for a good group beyond that could help provide the best end product.
Mm-hmm.
And lo and behold,
But we took what we got.
We picked up,
Right.
we got these Jobins. You got stuck with us.
So you say here, trust slowly built. What does that mean? You put in the doc, trust slowly built.
Right. Like I was saying, just that we didn't really know each other that well, and sometimes like I don't know. I think everybody, when they're around people that they've known for a long time, they're really comfortable making themselves look like an idiot. And that's kind of something you have to do on a podcast on a regular basis. I mean, like I am a bad singer.
Our first
and
time
we sing.
talking to James was when he showed up with mics and said, "Here, we're on a podcast together
Yeah,
now."
yeah.
Like,
I know.
you know what I mean? And we're just like, all right, cool. We didn't know, like, we didn't know how PG we were gonna make it. We didn't know how, like.
And it took us a while to find the right.
Yeah, there was.
I think it took us a long time to find the
I'm
right.
sure there's lots of f-bombs that I dropped.
Yeah.
that are
Yeah,
hiding in a
yeah.
file
There was
somewhere.
some heavy editing initially by James to
Yeah.
make sure that we were putting out a product that we were all
I'm surprised we've been able
from
to
a
do.
quality perspective and like.
And then fast forwarding, 6 months to Twitch, like, and the fact that we're able to do this on Twitch live, I'm kind of shocked with how much editing
We started out with, man, I
3
feel bad.
months.
I
for
used to
James.
edit a lot, and now
A
I don't
lot,
have
a
to
lot.
edit very much, thanks to you guys actually getting better.
At not stumbling. Well, like not only was it like that we would swear or make inappropriate jokes or whatever on a pretty regular basis, but I think it's like a fallback thing, right? Like whenever you get nervous, you're just like, say something that would have been funny in the locker room in high school. Quick, go.
Exactly.
But that also we stumbled over our words a lot more
And
regularly.
sometimes we
and-
would just say, "Okay, stop," and then we'd have a 15-minute discussion, and
About
then we'd
what we
start
should
again.
say. Yeah.
We can't
Right.
do that anymore.
Yeah. Okay, time out, guys. I feel like this is a train wreck. So let's regroup.
No, you're wrong. Protection music can't be targeted. No, you're wrong.
Right. Okay, we're gonna
It
start the episode
happened,
again in
but-
3, 2, 1.
Exactly.
That happened all the time in the beginning, which is crazy.
So if you think about it, we've come a long way since then, too.
Yeah. So fast forward 34 episodes in, and we're like, hey, audio has been pretty easy. James is only staying up till 4 in the morning to edit it. The night after we do it, let's just randomly add video, because how hard could adding video be to doing the audio, right?
And live
It's easy,
video at
right?
that.
We
It
just
wasn't just
video-
adding video. It was
We just videotaped it,
live
right?
video. And for the first few episodes, I was just like, I hardly said anything because I was just like, okay.
Click on this and manage that.
Is that
and-
going?
And you're like, James, it's your turn. He's like,
I have a card this week. Lightning bolt. Fall back on lightning bolt, quick.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of that, we're like, hey, since we have this live video option, and this has been so easy so far, James, what if we got a couple more cameras and we just streamed live magic too? Because how hard could all of that
How
be?
hard can it be?
And how hard could it be to have new decks every week? And like, I feel like we just kept getting in for a minute there.
And now we have an app on the way.
Right. For a minute there, I feel like we just kept. I mean, Rich explained it a while ago pretty well. He's like, we just keep raising the bar before we can even jump over the last one.
And actually, it's me that constantly raises it too. It's not you guys necessarily.
Well, but we'll have ideas.
Oh,
right?
you have great ideas. Hey, James, how hard is this? But other times it's like, all right, you know what I said last week? Well, we're gonna now do this. And you're like, James, just jump over the bar before
Right,
you
like,
actually.
let's get to a point where we're like not, you know what I mean, driving ourselves on the ground a little bit and able to go, baby steps.
So then on top of all that, we had a really good friend from probably some of the very, very early episodes.
very early on.
Like, I want to say maybe episode 5 at the latest. Our good friend Peter, who now writes
I
for
thought it was
us.
like December.
Oh, was it more
wasn't
December?
Maybe.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
but
maybe
that was pretty early.
closer to
Still, though.
episode
like
10, I
November,
guess.
like
I mean,
November-ish. which
we
would
only
have
had
been, like episode
we
5.
only, it did grow sort of slowly. The first few months were kind of like, okay, well,
we were podcasting to empty rooms. That's all that we were podcasting to. So, but anyways, Peter jumped on from our early phase, just as far as like being our friend. He just sent us feedback on a very regular basis and talked to us on Twitter all the time.
even called us out a
And-
time or two on something we said.
Yeah, like
The Huns
historical
totally-
facts. Anyways,
Not just that, but also like, talking. He's really a proponent of casual, and he's was saying, early
We're
on,
gonna get more competitive. Yeah.
why do you put so much emphasis on competitive when there's enough? Why do we put so much emphasis on competitive when
There's so much
anyway,
casual.
go back and
out
check
there
out that
too.
episode,
yeah,
too.
and he really put an emphasis in a way because I feel like all three of us are very competitive minded, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of like our default.
I was gonna say, but and then even like Peter, just the fact that he started like talking to us and stuff like that, it led to like like Chris and Sean, both from main phase, and then we've got like casual commanders, we
Casual
got Greg
commanders.
and casual commanders out there right now, like
and a ton of other people in the
just
chat room that
tons of people that
you
are
guys come out
now
on a weekly basis and
hanging
and,
out with
and,
us.
and chat back and forth. It's so cool to be able to see
right.
people that we've seen each week, and sometimes you'll miss them for a couple weeks and you're like, where are those guys?
Right.
And I could go down and name every one of you guys, but I'm not going to because I probably missed somebody. And then
Yeah,
I
we would inevitably, but we have
And he-
so many folks that have just become like hilarious to
So
have.
shout
in the
out
chat
to
on a
all
regular
of you
basis.
guys out there right now.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here without you guys. So
And I remember also hitting this moment where, it was probably the most true with Peter just because I ended up having some of the most interaction with him. But honestly, like it's happened several times, especially with some of the emails that we've gotten.
Mm-hmm.
I always heard people talk like in other Magic podcasts or, writers, their articles or whatever, talk about how like, oh yeah, like these are, my Magic friends and I feel like it's a big family reunion at Grand Prix and stuff like that. And I always thought like, man, they're probably just saying that so that, it sounds good.
Right.
Like, oh, all of my friends are Magic guys. Like
Right.
and it didn't it struck me as being potentially not genuine. Until I found myself in the middle of this really, really cool community that we had. And I realized like how much I enjoyed hearing from some of the folks that we've had, how much some of the nice things people have said through email and other stuff have really like affected me, that I really honestly feel support of people who are out there. And I really have tried to like give sort of whatever I can personally, whether it's just Magic stuff or like personal, like I don't know. There's a lot of levels that we've interacted on, and it really does feel like we have a lot of friends out there.
It definitely does.
Sorry, that was a long blab on my part.
That was
but
cool.
It's true though. Anything else on our story before we move along?
I think it's like a good minor history lesson.
Yeah, that's basically where we came from.
Unless you want to talk about how you have to hold me back and hold my tongue down so that I can't make a whole lot of the references.
We will
that
get
I
there
like to.
later on in the show. That's
Oh.
coming.
Oh,
That
no.
is coming.
Here's the thing, though. I always get mine, and Blaze doesn't.
So we will get there too. Tips for okay. We're going to talk. If you are interested in producing content, we're going to talk
Yeah.
about a few ways that because we didn't just want to make this a big love fest about how great this all is. We wanted to have something here, some meat here to tell you guys a little bit about maybe some of the things you could do
If you're interested in producing
you're-
content
if
of
you're-
any kind, right?
Right. So here's some tips.
Tip number 1. You just have James in your team. And
Right.
End of story.
That's actually pretty huge.
Have a programmer on your group who's also a workaholic because
Who will text you at 2 a.m. and be like, hey, cool, check this out.
yeah, I've just finished building our new website again. Like it's just been awesome. But not everybody gets to have it, James. So there's other things that you can do. And honestly, I think the big thing is just surrounding yourself with people with strengths that you don't have, right?
That's the key.
That was the key,
I think that's
yes.
basically it. Is
Um,
and that was what I said at the beginning. Is that was what was holding me back from podcasting all along. Is and I've said this to you guys too. I said, you tell me, hey James, you do it all. I say, no, I don't. You guys are the reason I can do this. I couldn't do what I do if it wasn't for people that actually knew the game and were passionate about it and had good personalities and, well, except for Blades. And and anyway, so you guys have a big portion of this that you don't take credit for, but it's about having people that are passionate about
how many
something.
times do we disagree on things, right? I mean,
all the
sometimes you
time.
just really need to have like contrasting views. I mean, it's great to have you and your friends all agree on something, but sometimes you really just need to have somebody be, you know what I mean, the devil's advocate and just be like, no, you guys are wrong. I don't care if all three of you agree, you're wrong. Looking back at the Crackgate thing,
that was
probably pissed a lot of people off.
That was
with
a good
that
episode.
one.
I like that one, but
But-
actually sometimes it's also good. By the way, that's a hint. We're trying to give hints. It's okay to have. It's not only okay. It's beneficial to have opposing.
Right, because
opposing.
just because
on that
you
particular
all
episode,
agree,
we were on that particular episode. We were saying, you know what? I hope you have an opposite opinion. And even if you don't have completely that opinion, please push that opinion more in that direction, just to show those different sides.
right, because I mean, it's great if all like 4 or 5 or whoever you guys are wanting to do content with agree on something, but sometimes that doesn't mean your viewers are going to, right?
Right.
And that was one of the things like going back to the Peter's deal with the casual versus competitive. We were all a big proponent of competitive, and we talked about casual, but we didn't give casual enough love, and he definitely showed us like, hey, you guys need to capitalize on this too, and not just talk about competitive. But yeah,
Well, and also I think because we had such a focus on being competitive that we sort of in some cases definitely kind of talk down the casual crowd.
right.
Which is certainly like, if you were to ask us like, oh, do you think like people who play Magic casually are worse?
And we're like,
And
no,
we're
like,
obviously not.
never
We
would
love playing
say
Magic
that.
casually.
But that it sort of would come off that way sometimes, and that was like a big learning point for
Right.
us for sure. So I don't know.
Yep. Pick something you're passionate about. I think we've all done that, but if you want to do it, it's picking something that really works for you. And it could be a lot of different things. I mean, I could probably pick a half dozen different things to do podcasts on, but it comes down to
just like who
going-
you're with and
going back to having people that you can
right.
Yeah, I like to pick my nose. I'm pretty passionate about that.
Yeah, picking your nose is gross from now
So-
on. You have to do it.
I guess a big thing too, as far as also picking something you're passionate about, but also picking something that there's some depth to as well, like your nose.
Yeah,
you have
you
to
can
be
go
able to
deep.
have either something that's changing on a regular basis, which Magic has, or something that there's some depth to it, which Magic also has. But there's certain topics I feel like that and I guess once you delve deep into something, like you're always going to be discovering more about it. But I think that Magic definitely lends itself well to fan-based content because, like, there's just so much to this game. Nobody plays.
Nobody
It-
can cover all the topics
It's deep.
in,
Yeah.
in,
It's
in
really
its
deep.
full extent, right?
Yep.
So another big tip is you should probably try to find people that you trust. People that you can feel like are going to pull their own weight. And if you feel like they're not pulling their weight, that that they would if they could, right? Because like there are
that you
times
can
where
talk,
life happens,
and you can talk frankly too.
yes,
Yeah. You need to be able to, and that is something that built with time with us. I think that was something we had to feel out basically where the boundaries were and who, and just being understanding about who has lives and who doesn't. So
Right, and some weeks, like all 3 out of 4 of us are just busy with work and
Yeah.
whatever else is going on in our lives, and
Well, like one person
only
will
one
get through.
person can work on the dock. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Or
Yep.
we call it the dock.
Yeah.
It's what we do every week, but.
yep.
And sometimes it was all 4 of us, and we're arguing over whose idea is better. And those were the weeks that were really exciting, actually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
just be able to people you can talk to and be open and honest about and stuff like that's great. So,
Were there
Um,
times when you thought that we were going to not make it a year?
honestly, about 3 or 4 weeks ago,
Really?
really like the Comic-Con time frame, just
You thought that we were going to collapse?
like
at
it
that
just
point?
felt like for me personally. Wow, if you guys all look at me.
No, that's fine. No,
I don't know. For me, I got to a point where I was just kind of wanting to walk away because not really like I never would do that to you guys, but like it kind of got to that point where I'm like, why are we doing this? You know what I mean? And
You feel different
Because
now?
I mean, it's been
Or
a
is it
year, and I feel like for me, like I just expected more to happen, I guess, and it just wasn't happening. But then we came back and we got back in the groove of things, and I'm starting to feel back out. And I mean, checking out chat room and just seeing like there's 30 or 40 different familiar faces, quote unquote names I see, and I'm like, oh hey, like they've been hanging out with us for the past like 5 or 6 weeks now. It's really cool to see, and I wish we could interact more with you guys. But I mean, you guys really do make the difference for, at least I know for me, being here and participating, and my drive to keep going. So,
and I think actually a lot of what led, there was a couple of weeks ago where we missed for the first time. That was
the week. Yep.
And like
it felt weird.
It felt weird, but I think that it was a function of us all, which is sort of the next tip that we have is overcommitting. That I think that we were all in one way or another somehow kind of overcommitted in a couple different ways. And I know for me personally, like my own life got kind of out of balance in some ways, and that like there were some places in like my job that I was sort of falling behind on. There were some places in my relationship with my wife that I was sort of falling behind on, and like all of these were my decisions, and it was just easy to get caught up in magic content, like not only absorbing all the content that's out there, but also trying to produce it, and that it's really important to know what your own limits are, because it's easy for things to turn into kind of like a very hungry beast. It will take as much as you can throw at it.
Yeah.
For sure.
And
so
you look at Star City Games and Channel Fireball and stuff like that, where they've got people who do similar things to like what we've been emulating, I guess. And they're able to do it every week, no problem. But the thing is, like when
that's their job.
when it's your job, like it's so. I would imagine it'd be a lot easier to spend 8 hours one day just thinking about cool deck ideas, whereas where you're trying to work full time like we all do here, you know what I mean, and try to have lives and a family and whatever else. I mean, like it's harder to try to cram as much content and relevance and try into a week of podcasting or whatever streaming, and have it be like the same caliber as theirs. I guess it's really hard to do that, but I mean we try. But I mean, it's, I know for me, like I'd like way more jokes, but I mean we are a little bit nuts and boltsy at times, but it's fun. And that's kind of what we're here to do.
So what do you do? What would you suggest when you do find yourself overcommitted? What's your advice?
Lay back, I guess, a little bit, like because we were doing like two fight clubs a week plus podcasting. We got to the point where we were on stream, like not necessarily
for like
on
8
stream,
hours,
but like doing the process of streaming and stuff like that. It was like almost 8 hours, sometimes 10.
Yeah, we'd go from
Thursday.
about 4 o'clock till midnight.
Till midnight or later. I mean, there's been a couple days where we were here till 1 or 2.
Yeah. So you just trim back. I mean, because sometimes the tendency might be just to say, "Oh, that's it, I'm done."
Right.
You know, sometimes you have to take a little break, take a little breather, step back. Damon, I think at one point you did take a breather just to kind of.
Yeah, I took a whole week off just because I was like, you know what, it's just
for no other reason than to say I need a week off.
Right, and I also that week was really important for me to kind of just get my head right, for me to give myself permission to like not have to read Magic articles, to not have to like be in the document, and like it's so crazy when you start doing this stuff with other people. Like I literally talk to these guys every single day,
in some way or
that
another.
we have like a group chat that we all have on our cell phones, and that like I'm talking to these guys and bouncing ideas around, either just about stuff that's happening in life.
Sometimes it's not even Magic related. So,
I mean, 2 days ago, overshare, had some diarrhea, not a good thing.
That I could have done without, especially the memes that went along with it.
I don't know. When first thing I said when I saw Damon today is, "How you feeling?"
Right. But at the same time, like these are guys that I am close enough to that it's just like there really aren't.
You better
boundaries.
not get close to me with that going on, man.
Blades, did you ever have a time in the last year where you felt a little bit like, I don't know if this is going to last, or have you not ever gone through that?
No, I have definitely gone through that. In fact,
well, I mean, you got a baby on the way, so I imagine life must be really difficult.
I do
well, not difficult, but busy.
Well, my personal life recently has been very hectic and very busy, to where, especially at work, I've been in a bit of a lull. Well, in life as a whole, I guess you could call it a depression or something. But I am definitely in one of those even right now, and at times it's really hard just to find the time or the energy just to get into it and give your input.
And yet every week you just show up at the door, ding dong, here I am. So good for you. That's the good thing, is that regardless, it kind of goes back to this next thing about audience trust, guys.
Right.
And I think that's where it comes in, is that if you can, how do you gain an audience?
I think that the biggest thing that you can do is just be
Yourself.
consistent. You have to show up every week. Like, you guys hang out and wait on Thursdays, or people who are there. Like, we watch. We have the ability to sort of see the numbers of downloads for our podcast site, and so we watch like numbers shoot the day that we put it out. That people obviously have a time in their week when they normally download us. That when we're streaming, like, we have people who kind of just wait around for us to hang out with them. And like the week that we missed, we got like several tweets and several emails like, "Are you guys okay? Did you die?" Because it was the first time we missed in a year. Like, my work, I have not been that consistent. I never had a year of school that I only missed one day.
I know.
Like, we have been, and that's, I guess, one thing that we can be kind of proud of, is that we've all really just committed to this, and tried to put out content on a regular basis.
Even like through the funk.
Through the
right?
funk, yeah.
Even when you're in those, and I guess that's a nice thing about having other people, is that it kind of, if it was just a one-man band, you couldn't just keep doing that. You have to have, hopefully everybody isn't down at the same time or in the funk at the same time. If it is, then, well, maybe you take a week off.
Maybe, yeah, for sure. And then the other big thing too, guys, is just it's amazing, like, how much our planning process has changed.
It has.
We started out and we would be like, well, nobody had any ideas, so we would show up before the podcast, before we were doing it live on Twitch and stuff, and we just hang out for half an hour and talk and like throw some ideas down on paper. Okay, sweet, we have a thing. And then like suddenly I noticed there was this moment when we started adding streaming and the Fight Club that like the idea of just having content for the podcast was like just a given. Like, there's no way that we would show up and have absolutely nothing.
There's no way you can just show up.
There's just no time anymore, right?
Right.
Like, our ability to kind of, I guess,
Hammer
crank
out
this stuff out and
details.
hammer out details
Yeah.
and make it happen has really changed. And that's I guess another area that I've been proud of us as a group, is that just we've.
The ones I'm more proud of is the fact that like there's been a few where we've been able to just show up and just, we're gonna wing it. And this is what we're talking about. Ready, go. And I'm sure that
I would rather not be a.
That makes James sweat, because
gives me
he
hard
has to plan.
He's like,
right?
yeah.
Well, but not that he has to plan, but like he's in control of showing cards that we talk about and things like that. And he doesn't have the ability to do that. When
it's
we
surprising
don't,
too. Like, there's been a lot of times where like all four of us, we've been bouncing off ideas of what to talk about, and like for instance, like was it leveling up number 3 or 2?
It was
reading
3
your
that
opponent.
we were, or reading. There was a.
There
few
was
of
one
them.
that basically, like, me and Blades were like, there's not enough content here. There's not enough content. And we ended up making, like, a whole, like, we could have gone for 3 hours about just one
Oh
thing.
yeah, a
and
whole bucket list. Like, we can't do this. We can't do this. We can't do this.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Vetoed
Like,
it.
it's just interesting to see coming from this aspect. You know what I mean? The amount, and like, and it's hard too, because you get to the point where you're like, we don't have anything to talk about, and then there's like 300 more things that come up the next week, and it's like, we don't have enough time to talk about all this stuff, right? So. Finding that,
You
blend
definitely
of
hit
all the good stuff.
You definitely hit the writer's block every once in a while.
Yeah.
But after you get beyond that, you're just like, every person has like 3 new ideas to explore.
Although I have to say that as far as the Idea Factory comes, Blades really is the Idea Factory for episodes. He has like on his phone, he'll just like in a day pound out 12 different ideas for episodes that he's had. I don't know how he does it, but and they'll throw them around and we shoot half of them down, but some of them turn out.
Which is going to happen. Like, not every single idea is going to be a good idea.
Well, like, how many times have you been like, let's talk about this? And I'm just like, no.
No way.
Like,
Every single
no.
time.
No, not every single time. No, but like, and then like the thing is, I'm like, I just don't think that it's right now. And then like we'll give it 2 or 3 weeks, and then like over that 2 or 3 weeks, like
The ideas
the
percolate.
idea is like percolating,
like-
and like everybody's like, oh hey, like Blades, you've got content that you wanted to talk about. Like we have ideas, or we've thought about the things that you want to talk about, and now we can come to the table prepared to talk about what you want to talk about.
Yeah, I feel like Blades is always just like kind of at that cutting edge where he's like, no, this makes sense that we could talk about this. And I also have been on the like, no, Blades, that's a bad idea. And like, it's true. We come around a couple weeks later and we're like, oh,
Yeah,
Like,
this is the thing he saw the whole time.
exactly. I have
He
totally
knew.
seen that.
Like
I've
the
seen
level
that on
3
more than once.
Yeah.
On more than one time. It's
Like
like,
the
well, this
mulliganing
is-
episode is
this
one of
a
our
really-
best episodes,
This
and
is
that
a really
was one
good
of
idea.
those.
Mhm.
Yeah, like the level up 3 episode. Like I've gotten so many people coming into the shop and are like, "Oh, listen to your level 3 episode, and it was really, really good." I'm like, "Yep, that's Blades' idea." That was
we
his
were
topic,
like, we
you
were
know?
like, dude, I don't know if we got another level up in us right now. And Blaze was like, no, man, I think it's a time. And like, again, that's one that's been downloaded a lot and
Yep.
been talked about. several
Totally
times,
agree
so.
with that. Anyway,
Well, a lot of it is just a lot of podcasts out there. They just agree with what each other has to put out, and there's no strife between them. And I feel like with me and Rich in particular,
we are always butting heads.
there is so much butting heads, and I feel like that is always
Mantis
a
Rider's
good
gonna be
thing.
good in modern. Dang it! I think
No.
it's gonna be good.
No, he's not. But that's part of the good thing, because as soon as both of us agree on something, we know that it's gold.
It's like the
finally, when you get to
the
that,
Right, you guys
clouds
have been
part.
scratching the edges off of this thing until finally, like, there's you know
there's something
something
there.
pretty underneath.
Yep.
Um,
And then planning. Have we talked about
yeah,
planning?
we
we
did.
just
We
did.
also like communicating digitally. Here's another shortcut that's specific to us. I don't know if it would be helpful for anybody else, but have you guys ever had a moment, and the answer for everybody's gonna be yes, where you sent out a text or an email and somebody took it wrong? Because we mostly communicate digitally, you know, on a regular basis.
Oh, I think I know where you're going with this. This is a good idea.
What would happen would be like, you know, say for the mulliganing episode, Blades would say, I think we should do a mulliganing episode. And he was passionate about that idea.
Absolutely.
And Rich would go, I don't think a mulliganing episode's very good. And Rich only kind of sort of disagreed, right? Like,
This
and
is one of our trade
I-
secrets.
And
like
so-
yeah, like I was like, I don't think there's enough content. We could do a whole episode of mulliganing, and we ended up doing it, and it was a freaking great episode. Like
right. But we would have lots of things where we would disagree with each other, but like,
right.
it's so hard.
Or
in-
like I'm trolling James, and James is trolling me, and you can't like figure out who's trolling who anymore, and who's actually being honest about what they thought.
Right. And so we eventually created this thing where we would say, okay, so we all have times where we agree or disagree on something, but like there's a range of how passionately you can feel about that stuff, and that's hard to communicate digitally. And so we've been like, look, here's the thing. I think we should do a show on mulliganing, and I feel like 9 out of 10
Yeah.
passionate about
90
this.
out
Or
of-
90,
Actually, we
10,
do,
90,
we,
90,
we do it
10.
on a 100-point scale.
Yeah, so I'm like 90-10 that this should happen. And then Rich will be like, oh, well, I was disagreeing with you, but I was only disagreeing at like 60-40. So like if you feel 90-10 about this, then maybe there's something like about that I
That we
haven't
should explore
gone
a
into.
little bit more.
Or like we've even been like, oh, well, I only disagree like
I'm
49, 51.
Yeah, I'm 51, 49.
yeah.
Heck, we used it for dinner tonight. We're like,
Yep.
so what kind of soup do you guys want? I'm 90-10 mushroom bisque. Just
Exactly.
saying.
all down with the bisque.
And so that allows you to communicate those variants of feelings and opinions in a way that's
and not
digital,
hurt
that
each other's
makes sense.
feelings.
Yeah.
and-
And then we
Yeah.
add up the scores and see who wins.
Right, because like
Because then we can take the
Yeah.
the score, like, okay, if one's 90, one's 60, one's 50-50, then, you know, we can see that it sort of leans in this direction, and then we're like, well, everybody could feel like they gave their opinion.
Right.
And were heard. And
Or also sometimes if like the whole group is like 60-40 for a thing, and then there's one of us that's like we're like
I'm against it
I'm like-
100%.
right, I'm like a 1 for it and a 99 against it. You guys,
Right. You're like, whoa, that's
then
really
the whole
serious.
group, like even though because if you took a normal vote, it would be 3-1, right?
Right.
But like we're able to in our group say there's one person who passionately disagrees. And there's
Maybe
3
we'll
people who are
come back
only
to it
kind of
later.
for it. So then we decide to go against it instead.
Yep.
And that tool has been really valuable for us.
It has.
On a communication
Absolutely.
level. So I don't know where this happens in your guys' life, but I feel like for us on occasions it's actually been very, very valuable.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And
I agree. 40,
communication
60.
communication is the key. You know, finding
Right.
ways to communicate digitally. We found an app called GroupMe that has changed the way that we communicate, because Rich's phone sucks. And so
Right.
You guys are gonna have a Kickstarter to get me a new phone.
we
I couldn't
almost
use
did a
like
Kickstarter.
I don't get multimedia messages on my phone.
and so we found it. I found an application so we could specifically include him. And since we started doing that, our communication has changed.
Nothing gets done.
About 100. It's about 100% better since then.
Seriously.
Yeah, except for now I just like troll all the time now.
Yeah, which is good. That's all right.
But
that's what we like.
and also just like the amount of sorry.
You go.
Working with like-minded individuals. I mean, like, there's so much to talk about with so many different things, and just being able to, be with the community. I mean, I keep talking about the community today, but it just, is that what we're gonna talk about next?
Yeah, sure.
It's on your list.
Yeah, no, I know.
Speaking of, stuff. I mean, like, just even like just getting feedback is huge, critical. Like, I mean, when we first started, we were like, how do we get people to talk with us? You know what I mean? How do we know that we're doing the right thing, that we're producing the right content, that we're hitting their audiences, even enjoying anything they're listening to? You know what I mean? And that's why we every single time, even on Fight Club between games, Damon's always rah, let's do get some
the community
feedback,
going.
Get the community going, because we want to talk about what you guys want to talk about. We want to help maybe shed some light on something you haven't thought of
Here's
before.
the thing. I think probably 10% at the maximum of about 10% of the community actually says anything.
Right. And sometimes,
Sometimes
no
it's
news
more
is
like
good news.
Sometimes it's
but
1%.
Sometimes it's nice to get those emails where they're just like, man, you were flat out wrong. You guys suck.
No, that's perfect. That's actually
that's like
fantastic.
We love it.
sweet. So
Yeah.
now we know what to do, and so keep those emails coming.
And
it
I feel
helps
like
out.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's it.
Oh, I also feel like we've really grown through being able to like tag team with other folks who are out there, like the Casual Commander guys, like Lady Planeswalker Society, like Rogue Deck Builder. That there's a bunch of these guys who are kind of just very much function on like a community level, that we're not like sponsored by some big site or something, like we're kind of just from the ground, we're hanging out, and that. I don't know. It's been fun. But if somebody wanted to pay us lots of money to do this, we also would be fine with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I've got student loans. I need. Come on, bring on the money. Just kidding. And that's the thing too. Like a lot of people don't know that we do this almost non-profit. Like
No, it is negative profit for James mostly.
It's
we
negative
just
profit.
recently actually just started putting ads on the YouTube videos.
Which and on the webpage, which I think I was going to talk about later. I'm going to pull those ads on the webpage.
So,
I think. And we don't plan on being totally non-profit forever. We have some ideas about ways that people can support us if they want to, and that's going to be rolling out here in a while. Yeah,
just kidding.
But for sure, we really like to be there, and we definitely don't. It's a nice model where people can come and get content that they enjoy without having to worry about having a bill in the mail for it. So,
but
finally, have fun. If it's not fun, don't do it.
Yeah, if it's not worth it. I get people all the time asking like what do you guys get out of the podcast? And a lot of times I'm like, I don't know. But I enjoy doing it, and I enjoy the people I do it with.
Well,
so.
yeah. In a lot of ways, I feel like it's made myself a better player, because back to the mulliganing podcast, like that episode alone, I felt like I walked away from that level because I'd never actually done the math on the number of lands and stuff.
Right, some of the content we do, we're learning too.
Yeah, for sure. We have to do a lot of research.
You can't be a teacher without learning at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those who can't do
it. With the Fight Club, watching the replays, it really
does
lets me
help.
know
Yeah.
how bad of a player I actually am.
Yep.
Because when you're sitting here playing the game, you totally don't notice that you have a Mutavault that can attack the Domri raid after you Wrath the God.
Was that me in your game, or was that?
That was mine and yours, and and then the next turn Domri ultimated,
Or
and then I tried to charm
or
your
Zori's
hexproof
charm.
guy.
Yeah, it's okay. Like I've attacked you with voice resurgence tokens that apparently had haste, so it all works out in the end. But that's the thing, though. Like being on stream though is so much harder, man. Like it's kind of nerve wracking to be in. Like I mean, we had 190 people last week for our Fight
that was
Club.
insane.
Like,
that was awesome.
Imagine that 190 people watching you play Magic
And criticizing
and
every
criticizing
single
every move
move.
you do. That's kind of nerve wracking.
And if you miss something,
they're not
they
there
see
breathing
it.
on
Somebody
you.
sees it.
But and the fact that you're gonna go post that online, like it's kind of nerve wracking.
You don't know.
Like I said, being an idiot, on a regular basis, you have to trust the people that you're with. You know?
Or like,
Yeah.
if you have to be okay with being an idiot sometimes.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it's
being wrong and saying Jeskai Charm doesn't hit Planeswalkers.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead.
it's not just being wrong. It's about every other person out there being a better player than you. Everybody who's watching you being better than you. And when they can spot out the obvious things that you don't spot out, even when you're making all the other right plays, sure, it makes them feel better about themselves, but it's like, how many other people could really get to that point?
Well, and even then, like, I mean, it looks like it's pretty bright for those of you in Twitch land. Like, it looks like it's pretty bright. It's actually really kind of not that bright in this
pretty
room.
dim.
So even
Yeah.
like the circumstances where we're playing, it's kind of hard to kind of get in that mindset of playing Magic at a competitive level, like perfect Magic, when it's dark and we have mics in front of us that are annoying and you can't reach around, and you're also trying to like talk and explain what you're doing and explain
As
your
you're doing it,
reasoning and
yeah.
try to go into like the details of what's going on and maybe talk about the deck list or whatever, or just even try not to get distracted with everything else that's going on. I mean, so and so is working on the dock and James is doing this and we're doing this, and it's kind of hard to like play picture perfect Magic with so many other things going on sometimes, right?
Also, we don't have perfect information. The
Right.
people watching have so much more.
Yeah, it's like, oh, they should have done that because they should have saved it for this, and
Yeah.
we don't know that. So, but yeah, and it's been really cool, and I'm glad that you guys have stuck with this. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I mean,
Yeah, I certainly have gotten to be a lot better Magic player since playing on stream because like your mistakes are obvious right away.
they're like
So
multiplied tenfold.
This
yeah.
last one, remember where you've been. What do you mean by that?
So I think that like it's easy to get caught up with like trying to improve all the time, try to be better. That just getting caught up in like looking at your average Twitch stream and be like, oh man, like knew about the dummy
He
has
has,
like 2,500 or 2,500 are like crazy numbers of people, and like people who play Hearthstone have like infinite people and blah blah blah, and like whenever you're comparing yourself, like you're not in a good spot. And like where we started, literally the people at our shop knew us,
Right.
and then a couple people from like Magic Minute heard about us, and that's where we started. That's where
Yeah.
we exist. And like we have met so many people, and we have
It took 6 pages of looking through iTunes to be able to find us. I think
when we first started, yeah, for sure.
and we're probably still only like 5 pages.
Yeah, but that's-
so iTunes reviews.
Exactly.
Please.
But
But-
this brings me to a question. Were you done?
yeah. I'm on.
So I have a question because you said you thought we'd be someplace different in a year.
Well, no, I just like, here's the thing, like we've done a lot of progress. It's just like, I don't know, like I kind of
Rich just get. It's easy to just be like, oh, well, we'll just be famous and it'll be easy.
No, not that. Like, it's just it's different. Like actually going through the process of doing this, and it's
work.
it's way different than I was expecting
Yeah.
it to ever be. And I have,
And it's-
I actually like I've met some people I know in IRL, in real life, like that I've been friends with for years, who I've talked to now, and they're like, yeah, I stream such and such game or whatever. I do this, and that. We never talked about that because I never was in streaming. And now that I am, I'm like, dude, I completely understand. They're like, yeah, it's not cracked up to what everybody thinks it is. You know what I mean? It's a whole different world, and it's kind of cool, and I enjoy it. But man, it's
And some streamers out there that are successful, like it really
Right.
allows us to respect what those guys do.
yeah,
a ton.
exactly. Mad props.
So-
I mean, how many times do we talk about like all the different guys that stream and stuff like that and whatever.
Yep.
It's, but yeah.
All right, so let's get into a different segment here. I want to do a little go into a time machine. Let's exactly here. How about this?
So scared.
Oh, that's staticky.
I know. I learned a
Oh,
lot.
There we go.
Welcome to MTGYou, the Magic the Gathering podcast for you. This is episode 1. I'm James.
I'm Damon, your resident. I don't know, have fun mage. I'm not necessarily blue mage.
Oh, that's
Rich.
horrible.
What do you do, Rich? What are you about?
Well, long walks and sandy beaches, but no, green. That's definitely my thing.
All right.
And I'm Blades. I love the blue magic and anything around the blue magic.
Okay, so how long have each of you been playing Magic? Okay, that's enough. I'm sorry. That was painful enough, I know. So, first of all, here in the studio, you're making me go, up.
volume.
Oh yeah, it doesn't go up. I remember our first couple podcasts were so quiet.
So I was trying to teach you guys how to use a mic. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
And what have you learned about
so many times?
how
this or-
what have you learned about using a mic, guys?
It needs to be right in front of your face. You have to bite it.
You have to eat the mic. That's the only way I can describe it.
Only thing I gotta say is, with that introduction, how did anybody get past the first podcast? Will amaze me.
Yeah.
I know it. All three of you guys. I mean, it means the Magic the Gathering podcast for you. You know, but I had the same phrase right from the beginning.
Yep. We
How did
got
that
there
happen?
from the beginning.
And
actually, honestly, like our name. We've mentioned it before, but we'll go back again. Ian helped us at the beginning.
That's
MTGYou.
right.
We got to
were-
give props where they belong.
We were brainstorming
forever on a
Yeah.
name.
We're gonna be like MTG Academy.
We
or
did.
like
We did have one meeting before we recorded that first time where we just got together just to talk about it.
Right.
Hey, next Thursday we're doing this. So anyway, so that was Damon. I'm your resident have fun mage. Yeah, that's okay.
I'm I don't.
And that's
Okay.
kind of. I think Blades actually started the whole catchphrase thing on episode 2.
I
Pretty
may
sure.
have.
I think it's your fault.
and I like that. I like
Which,
that.
by the way, that's probably got to be the
So,
content's hard, but man, the catchphrases for me are harder.
but they're fun. Okay, so here is Rich.
Oh, what are we doing?
Killboard, that was cool. I had no idea who he was.
Okay, let me start that again.
Just walking in there, there was like, who's this guy with the fedora? Like,
Wait,
who
I got to
does
start that again.
This is on Twitch. Hopefully nobody's watching us.
You know, and
Take a leak
some
next to
some
Killboard,
guys
that
came
was
in
cool.
and
I had no idea who he was.
just walking in there.
I don't know if you can even hear that.
Okay, hopefully he
like-
doesn't listen to this one.
Hopefully we can. Thank you for it wasn't doofy. Killboard's actually my hero now, like in hindsight, but like the fedora,
Basically, I just made fun of Kibblers.
You said I was taking a leak next to.
Yeah, like my first experience at a Grand Prix was taking a leak next to Kibler.
Yeah.
So, and we talked about that on like episode 3, I think.
We're like, oh man, hopefully we're never famous.
Hopefully
enough
we're never
for him to
famous and
ever
nobody
find
knows I
out.
took a leak next to Kibler. Yeah, and I was making fun of him because of his fedora. But I have
we've
I have
talked-
wisened up since then.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so here is, I don't know what this is. Let's see. We're going to get into the next segment here. We're calling Draw a Card. Aren't we glad we have bumpers now, guys? You know, where
We call this segment Draw a Card.
where like
Draw step.
is so much better. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, we should just call that suck less from now on.
That's why we came up with it, because it was so awkward to do that. Okay. This is Blades. Oh, wait. I keep doing that. Hang on a second. I'm launching iTunes here and I don't mean to be. And then it'll play, and anyway.
Right.
Hang on a second.
But remember the thing we talked about editing?
Yeah. Stop.
We were talking about the wrath effect earlier, and anytime I can just clear the board of all creatures, it makes me feel good, it makes me feel powerful, it makes me feel like a man.
I don't know where it's playing. I'm trying to quit this.
Got all sentimental. Like,
Yeah, that was like
It makes me feel like a man.
I think that was some non-licensed music.
It's-
We
Yeah.
might get
we're
in
gonna
trouble
be
for that.
blanked out for an hour now.
Yeah. If we suddenly go silent, guys, you know why.
like it goes through my childhood years or something. Like me actually becoming a
I can just
man,
see
which actually
Blades.
is gonna yet to happen because let's face it, I'm not there.
Blades holding a supreme verdict in his hand, walking on a beach.
Okay, so here is live studio, and we're in Layton, Utah. Yeah, and we are actually recording this live inside a game store, our favorite one here, Heebie Jeebies.
Go hibbity jooties.
You heard that? Yeah. I just thought that was funny. We were live right from the beginning. Oh, this is one of my favorite phrases by Blades.
Blue is my color. That's my jam, my jelly, my peanut butter and cheese, as it were.
I don't know what that meant.
You don't like cheese?
Maybe it's
And
the peanut
peanut
butter
butter?
and cheese that.
Can't be picky.
And our first Easter egg. You know, we do have Easter eggs. We have in our outtakes. Okay. All right, guys.
Why did we repeat that last thing?
Because
you can edit it.
I was like, yeah.
I felt like.
Anyway,
That was the first Easter egg?
yeah, that was the first one. That was the first one at the end of episode 1. I put that on there.
Aren't Easter eggs supposed to be colorful?
This is our
Yeah.
7 o'clock live show, although it's not actually being streamed live. But hey, one of these days, I bet it's going to be.
One of
There you
these
go.
days.
What episode was that?
That was episode 3.
Boom.
First mention of live streaming. Cat tangent.
So around the enchantment deck, you can just make a bunch of cats.
Yeah.
And if you're going all enchantments, I feel like you could make a deck that you're going deeper than a bag of cats.
Do you have to meow when you with the cat token?
Oh
play?
god. Okay, there's a guy. Oh my gosh, man.
Just
People
meow?
who just meow. No, stop
That's
it.
what
Don't
I do
do
when I
it.
play Kemba.
Do
No.
people? Have you ever met? You've met people that meow when they? Do
I
Oh,
do.
man, you have
Are
no.
you kidding?
I do when I play Kemba. Every time I put a cat in, you gotta meow. That's the stipulation to play the deck.
Wow.
That's why I don't play that EDH deck with you anymore.
Jerk. But we're gonna trace back though. With the Johnny's chosen, Mana Bloom, right? It's a
yeah.
1
Right.
green and X.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You get a 2/2 guy.
There's more cat jokes.
Oh, really? They keep
Cast
going?
it again each turn. You don't
Oh, yeah.
have to put X into it. Just 1 green cat token. 1 green cat token.
Sounds
cat
pretty
factory.
good.
Cyclable.
That Mana Bloom works really good.
If you don't watch out, you'd be hurting cats pretty soon.
Right. Yeah.
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 You guys should just bag it.
Okay, meow.
Oh.
I like the kitties. Anyway,
Man, we are so bad at
You
beating.
ended that at the
we are
wrong
so
time,
bad at
James.
beating jokes into the ground. I'm sorry,
Oh,
guys.
yeah.
That's horrible.
That was actually I think I was listening to some of our first episodes.
that was episode 3.
and I think that was one of the very first times we ever attempted to make jokey.
Like
Yeah.
humor.
Mhm.
And
Man.
obviously, it hasn't gotten much better.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. But anyway, this is Blades talking about Jace. Let's move into our main phase. Today, what we're talking about is
Dun dun dun.
dun 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 building up your collection. We wanted to talk about how to build your collection. I came up with what I like to call the 3 B's of building a card collection: buying, bartering, and borrowing.
And you're missing the 4th one. Mail order bride.
Briding. Oh, never mind.
Is that what you do when you buy Jaces? Never mind.
Is that like marrying another Magic player? Does that exist?
This
Like you bride them to get more.
This is still episode 3.
Yeah,
We're
giant collection.
so you buy the bride, and you get okay.
I will have my
Oh,
dowry.
Oh right.
Oh,
Oh,
and
my
I
dowry in Jason's.
I cut off. Okay, never mind.
We just
Yeah, in hindsight, the whole bride thing was not the best idea.
No, it was. Sometimes you go down a wrong. Sometimes you go down a anyway.
I was just saying, that's the bad thing about being live now is we're like, hey, this will be funny. Ha! And you're like, that was totally not funny.
Okay.
Quick, pull up,
Like,
pull up.
it's too late now. That
All right,
happened.
the dreaded tampon conversation.
Also, I had an issue for a while. I had a little bit of a. Oh man, this is terrible. I had a little bit of an addiction for a while. Every time I'd go to Walmart or Target or anywhere, I'd be like, my wife just sent me to the store to go grab like a soda pop and some toilet paper, and I should, that's all for her. I mean, she needs a toilet paper. I mean, I know I use it too, but
She told me to get it.
but she
so-
told me get it, and I'm here, so I'm gonna get a sweet booster pack. And then I go to the store later. I'm gonna grab some cheese and some milk and another booster pack. This is awesome. And sometimes booster packs one at a time, like it can be fun, but man, that added up really quick, and I had to stop doing that. It was crazy.
True story. Last night I was at Target, and my wife sent me to get some tampons. Honest. And I found myself and I found myself walking past the Magic cards.
Right?
Yeah, I did. Honest. I was like, "Hey, there's a fat pack over there. I wonder if she'll notice."
No. Tampons are totally $50. It's easy.
I thought you needed the expensive kind.
Only the best for my wife.
Just for you, babe.
The weirdest thing. They like buy one box of tampons, get a box of Magic cards for free. It's the weirdest thing.
I know. So that was actually one of the I think that was one of the funnier ones. I mean, some
We made
place,
references to that.
some place where it actually the humor actually worked a little bit better than some of our other ones. Here's our first use of Jobin.
One of the things that bugs me the most as far as being in trades, I took a hiatus from trading because I just ran into like person after person who seemed like all they want to do is rip people off, and it just killed me. But when somebody's like, yeah, so we're just looking at these sweet cards you got there, and this one's worth $3 and yours is worth $2.75. So can I just look through your binder and try to make up that 25 cents? Like, oh my gosh, you Jobin, like just stop. Stop freaking going through my cards and trying to like rip me off of 25 cents. Here, have 50 cents. You jerk. Take my charm. I don't care. Go away. I don't want to trade with you anymore.
I love that. Sweaty neckbeard.
Right, exactly. Nobody wants to trade with you, and then like your F&M starts to die, and you run out of people to trade with, and then you're just sitting there like a lonely, sweaty neckbeard sitting in your card shop with nobody to trade with because you've been a douche to everybody. So cut it out. Don't be a douche when you trade. Watch out for the new guys. Hook them up, and then they'll hook you up
You
later,
had
right?
to add the neck beard.
Yeah, dude. Watch that neckbeard, man.
I suddenly want to shave.
Right? You should. So should I. I have a little bit of a neckbeard going on.
Me too. Teaching moment.
Honestly, James, when I went to the Star City Open not too long ago, I played against this lady, and great lady. She was probably in her like 40s or something, I would guess. And she, I'm like, oh, this would be nice because like I lost my first round. I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is gonna be a gimme.
It's not another neck beard.
This is gonna be right, yeah. Man, I'm not sitting across from like Job and the neckbeard. I'm sitting across like this nice lady. We're having polite conversation. She's got like her kids, and they're kind of into magic, but she's also like a musician, and she's interesting. And then we sit down, and she's like freaking business, like, and she's got her little notepad with her life total. I'm thinking, okay, that's pretty cool. And I play my first spell, and she writes it down. And I'm like, oh, huh. And then she plays her spells, and she writes them down, and she's playing, like, Naya Blitz Humans. I'm like, okay, that's cool. And then, like, I play another spell, and she reads it, and she writes it down. I'm like, oh, my gosh. And then we get done with the game, and she kicked my butt. And she writes down her sideboard and cards that she thought that were, like, she reviews her list of cards that I'd played and thought what would be good against this, because I was playing, like, a combo deck, and she hadn't seen it before. And so we got to game 2, and I was able to pull off game 2. And then we moved on to game 3, and she changed her sideboard again and reviewed both games worth of notes and did her sideboarding. But like, what was nice is she was playing an aggro deck, so she could have the time to review these notes and make sideboarding decisions.
If she was playing like Blades,
exactly. Yeah, there's no time
control
to do
deck.
that.
You would have gone through one game, and that would have been it.
Right, but I mean, this lady was just so meticulous, and she was a badass.
Was she an accountant?
And well, I don't know what she was, but all I know is she got 3 of the mayor of Aberbrooks on the field at the same time, and I was just effed. I was so dead, and I dropped a round to not Job in the neckbeard, but like nice 40-year-old lady musician, and she just like kicked my butt, and then like very happily shook my hand and walked away. I was like, oh, that's awesome. You rock.
Anyway, that was a good one. This is episode 4.
Oh, we're going
End our draw step and head right into our first main phase. That's where the magic happens.
I stopped saying that. That is one of them. That is one of the phrases that has fallen by the wayside. So thankfully, episode 7.
But it also kind of looks like, hey, dude, I just made this guy's head explode. High five.
And that's talking about what card?
Grizzly.
Grizzly?
No. Murder scene?
Oh, what one is that, guys? Chat room, help
Grizzly
out.
Spectacle.
Grizzly Spectacle.
Yeah, the guy looks like he's trying to make the have the
Move
camera
along,
go. Yeah.
folks.
But he also says.
But it also kind of looks like, hey, dude, I just made this guy's head explode. High five.
And the foil of that is sick, by the way. By sick I mean pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, you klaxon anyone? No?
I'm totally lost.
Like, okay, like you're sitting there and in the bomb dump or whatever. And, and then and then the base is getting attacked, so they turn on the klaxon.
Oh.
Yeah.
To warn you.
It's the big horn.
incoming.
The siren.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Siren.
Oh, is that what it's called?
The klaxon's the name of the device.
See.
Anyway.
Rich the
Boy,
smarty pants.
He's
Dropping
not,
knowledge
he's
like
not-
it's hot.
He's not called the brain for nothing.
And he is called the
The
brain.
one
by
and
the
only
way.
time that Rich was referred to as the brain.
So we don't just talk magic here. We learn a lot of things,
Right.
right? Lots of education going on here. We even talk about ninjas.
Somebody running up to you and then like distracting you and then ninja poofing away. Like you stopped. You're no longer running
I
towards
totally
the
just thought you
stronghold.
said ninja pooping
No.
away.
Ninja.
I'm totally down with that.
Ninja poofing.
And I don't know why this made it in.
So we're gonna go to I attack my grizzly bear. Blades is going to.
Well, first I'm gonna think about what you got in your hand, and then I'm gonna think, nah, he don't got it, and then I'm gonna double block, assuming that we're just gonna trade, and his bear is gonna die from indigestion.
Right. And then just like that fat guy from Jurassic Park, I'm gonna go
That's
Jurassic Park.
And then of course there is so much singing
Yeah.
Oh, my
that
goodness.
someday
Which is weird because like I am a bad singer.
someday
I
we
can't
will
carry a tune in
I
a
think
bucket.
we're all bad singers.
someday we're actually going to put out an album, and it's going to be. But this is
We're not doing a montage of us singing.
no,
are we?
no,
Oh,
just
good.
one example.
I would gain 100 life and I would gain 100 more just to be the man to gain 200 life and not affect the board. Ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da, ba-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-dum-da-da.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a new Johnny that gained 100 life.
Dude, we practiced that like 6 times. It was
Yeah.
still
And,
terrible.
and there's a lot of others that we have just one takes, and they worked.
I mean, using worked as a loose term.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm going to release that as that's going to be additional content I'm going to put up on the website at some point. All of our greatest hits.
Magic scenes.
Hard
We're gonna go
reset and just
aluminum.
kinda start
I don't know what this one is.
fresh and new.
But
And
they-
maybe they're working on
they-
that right now. Who
They
knows?
tried that with this new beta that they're working on.
And everybody is just calling it a pile of garbage, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's a pile of garbage. It's more toxic sludge. No, that's I'm
That's
totally
worse
kidding.
than garbage.
And when I say that, I'm talking about the line from the Jim Carrey version of The Grinch when he says, "One man's toxic sludge is another man's potpourri." so it's actually not that.
Another Jamesism.
Yeah. Speaking of isms, I may have Jamesism, but there are such thing as Richisms.
Remember the card count cardinal rule. That's not what it's called, but that's what I'm going to call it right now.
Richest card count cardinal rule.
When putting things in your deck, try to think about
think it's the whole thing.
How many times you want to see it. For instance, if you want to see your storage lands,
Do you want to listen to
every
the card
game,
count
all the
cardinal
time,
rule?
You know,
I don't even
Not
think
really.
we know what it is.
bail,
anymore.
bail. I put it in the doc. I was like, richest card count cardinal rule, whatever. I'm just gonna call it this. And then David's like, gold. We're making fun of you forever for this now. So now I'm just like, hey, this card seems good. Is that gonna be a part of the richest card count cardinal rule? Oh my god. Dang it.
All right. So there's that, guys. And there's just a little bit of one other thing I wanted to. There's all of our outtakes, which I don't know what I'll get through here. Let me just.
That's what they do it with. Is they pick up the cards and they're like talking in Russian accents like this, because that's clearly a Russian accent.
See, son, now that's what happens is they go and they get the
that's
duck and bring it back.
Y'all remember when Mommy was saying,
y'all mean hey?
Welcome back to MTGYou, the Magic the Pod.
The magic.
By
the
the
podcast.
Garson.
It's gonna be like this all night, I bet.
Welcome.
This is how I talk. I like to talk. Talking is what I do. Talkity talk talk. Oh, Cheetos, I thought it was Speedos.
The door is made of all kinds of wood, my brother.
How many people does it take to beat a dragon? 5?
Damage don't kill, creature state based actions do. Did you guys ever see, it was a Family Guy where the terrorist, he commits suicide and he's like, oh, praise Allah, now to go meet my 100 virgins and stuff. And he goes to the door and there's just all these people sitting down there. He's like, what is this? And they're like, hi, we like Magic the Gathering. I see you. Yeah, I've been going out into the woods and
We got a reaction to Blades
the
finally.
hotspots in Utah is actually like the canyon that's just like 2 miles from my house.
Oh wow.
Which canyon is that?
Coldwater Canyon. It's
So everybody has monologues sometimes.
From the North Ogden
This is
Divide
Blade's
area.
monologue.
Yeah,
The canyon up there.
So the fact that I have a cave there that I may or may not store furs in doesn't bother you?
What
I
kind
mean,
of furs?
Well, just big hairy furs, and I have to carry them back and forth to the cave. And
You kind of have a lumbering walk, don't you?
I leave my Chewbacca costume in it.
I would be interested, but no, like I'm all about
I just
the
didn't
stories
realize
and
that
everything and-
now that people are mentioning it, there have been a lot of people pointing at me.
My wife does tell me I have big feet.
So, Blaze, do you believe in Bigfoot?
I'm a little bit on the fence. I'm more on the fence leaning towards the fact that they exist, but until you have that sighting, you can never be like 100%.
Anyway.
Boris, please. We are not charming.
Yes.
We have gun. We don't need charm. We say go over there, they go over there. It's no problem.
Comrades don't need charm.
I love...
My beard goes down to my toes.
Okay, we can just skip that one.
You want to hold hands? Does that make you feel better?
Me and Damon usually do.
I'm not above riding a pink pony.
In regions in the U.S., they don't call it doing donuts. Some people call them turning cookies. But in parts of the United States, they call it whipping shitties.
Welcome back to... Is that how I usually start it?
Oh, guys, I hope you're enjoying
Weapons
this.
and machetes.
You are my sunshine, my only sunshine. You make me happy when skies are gray.
When skies are gray.
You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my Brian away.
Go to sleep, Brian.
That was for Brian.
I forgot. We had somebody write in and tell us that
Somebody
they listen
wrote
to
in and
us
they
when
said
they go to sleep.
when they go to sleep, and so we sang a bed night, a lullaby to them, whatever.
Hello,
my gosh.
with the monculus.
Oh, I have to play that one again. Damon.
Hello, with the monculus.
Yes, a sneaky homunculus.
What's more incentive than a signed theft?
Hey, keep going.
And I have 8-year children.
I'm still teething.
When you have an itch you just can't scratch, crack and rum.
Hello, the cheat. How are you?
I don't remember
Answering the email.
That was actually pretty good. That sounded just about like
Yeah,
it.
if you ever need anybody, I work really well with just sitting creepily in the corner like...
Do I want to talk about menstruating when I write cube?
We're really into gaming. You?
That's a pickup line.
Apparently, I'm high, everyone. Sorry.
Step off, home fry.
It's like half of this stuff you're like,
From the Planeswalker's Survival Guide.
I don't remember half of these.
Hunter's prowess.
Here it is.
Prowess?
okay, I got to
Prowess?
stop right here. This is what I've been promising.
Oh, yeah,
this
the
is the
prowess.
conversation with Blades about how he says prow. Anyway,
Prowess.
Hunter's prowess. Prowess?
Prowess.
Prowess?
Prowess?
Yes.
Am I saying that right?
Prowess.
Prowess.
Hunter's prowess.
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 You put
Prowess.
Prowess.
put the put prowess.
Prowess. Hunter's prowess.
This is so ready for
Prowess.
outtakes at the end. I'm just saying that right
Absolutely.
there. We're all just saying prowess over and over again.
Hunter's prowess. Am I saying it right?
Put the emphasis on the front, on the first part.
Hunter's prowess.
There's no L in it. You're putting an L in it. Prow.
Oh, Hunter's prowess.
You want me to just read this one?
Prowess. Say prow.
Prow.
S.
S.
Prowess.
Hunter's prowess.
I'm sorry.
You know what's funny? Nobody ever talks about what Fight Club's about.
I can have a girl voice.
Yeah, you have a girl voice. We would just all be better off if we just listened to Damon.
Agreed.
Agreed.
See, most people drop the beat. I drop the soap.
I just want to complain about Death Right being banned. I just want to complain about Death Right being banned. I just want to complain about Death Right being banned. I just want to complain about Death Right being banned. I just want to complain about Death Right being banned.
Endless loop.
Oh, I just love that one.
So there you go, the mashup of
thought I
all
said
of.
fun cat.
Oh.
I'm not done yet.
Go back to the undress step. The undress step.
Yeah, like I got that on my Wii. I do.
Nips.
Lips.
Not now, honey. I need a catchphrase.
I feel loquacious, and I don't even know what that means. Do you hear a lot of noise?
To the hustle.
You can pretty much take anything anyone ever says. Blades can turn it into dirt.
Into dirt?
Those go hand in hand.
Yeah. You make the excuse that you're shy.
Forever, like that's been like his spirit animal, you know.
Are you skipping?
So, anyways, like when fish die, like naturally, they die, you know, like in a skeleton picture, right? And then when they're eaten and pooped out, or like the bones are left behind, they're just in a jumbled pile, right? This one, the vertebrae are set up in this crazy pattern that looks just like the suckers, like as if it was looking at its own like crazy kraken paw, and like was doing a self-portrait in the sand, and then like it petrified with like these giant fish bones, and there's no explanation for why they would be lined up in this crazy order. So like, is this the earliest self-portrait ever made? Like, was he looking at his little sucker arm and going, I'm going to line up these vertebrae in this similar pattern? I need this later. So what I found was like a giant shell, right? So there was tide pools, and it was like very easy pickings for this octopus, right? But the whole time he'd be crawling along the rocks to get to the tide pool, he'd be hassled by all the seagulls. And so he was going along one day, they were following this octopus, and he just picked up a big shell for no reason. And like hours go by, and he's just carrying this shell behind him. And then he puts a shell over the top of his head hours later, and then crawls along and uses it as like a little tank, and then like goes in and eats up all the cuttlefish and brings the shield with him back, and the birds can't get to him.
You know, I'm cool just skipping the podcast and just sitting around and listening to our own voices today. Every single day.
I have the hardest time finding sound clips from you. I don't know if it's because you don't talk as much, or if it's because you're not very funny.
I was referring to
That
Rich.
was to me.
Mr. I always jump in on the
It's okay, Blades. Do you have any Moguses? Mogai. Dick. It's Mogai.
It's coming. It's coming.
It's 7:34 right now, and we're 37 minutes into recording. Just give me a level really quick, everyone. Damon?
Hey, this is Damon talking to you today at MTGYou.com.
Okay. Rich?
Check. Hey, can you guys hear me at all? Is that working out?
Yeah. That's okay, Blades. I don't need to hear you.
Oh, I thought this was the one where he's just like, blank. Blank for like 5 minutes.
Oh, this.
Moist.
Moist.
Why? I don't know. I don't know.
Roll of inches.
I don't know, but I'm feeling it.
I need a roll of inches.
Roll of inches.
I thought that
I
one
felt
was
that
the
one
one
too.
where
I
got
like-
Dumbledore.
I got Dumbledore.
Rich just wanted you all to know this. I wasn't going to include it, but he hounded me. And I really don't want to deal with him next week if I don't put this in there. So, here you go.
That was about.
Good.
We were talking to Nebas last night, actually.
Now
Fun
here
fact.
is
So
Rich's.
as the ice, I'm going to this. So as the polar ice caps melt, they've found that there's viruses that are being revived
Oh, I've
because
seen
they're
that,
frozen
yeah.
within
Monologue.
the water and the ice. And
Oh, so like
there's
they're
this
revealing
chance-
them like layer at a time.
Yeah, so they're finding out that these like super viruses that have not seen
if it was
the
one of those that
atmosphere.
killed the dinosaurs?
Hold on, we're getting there. So they're finding that because it hasn't been like exposed to our atmosphere here and hasn't been developed or evolved or adapted in millions of years or whatever, thousands of years, that there's like these super viruses basically in the ice caps, and as they slowly melt, they're releasing into the atmosphere. And they found a super virus that basically just like destroys amoebas, just like completely like rips them apart, eats them, like, which a lot of viruses and stuff do that, you know what I mean? And so they're kind of doing a lot of research right now on, the polar ice caps, finding out like what is all going to
What
happen,
other bugs
what other
could
bugs
exist.
could exist, and like there's the possibility of like what it may have killed the dinosaurs or
Someone's
whatever,
gonna make a
or,
movie
you know what I
about
mean?
this.
Yeah, basically.
I bet it's already being written right now. So after that happens,
Maybe.
someone's like, the next catastrophe movie, 2018.
Or
or like ice
or-
pirates.
zombie virus.
Zombie. No, yeah.
That'd be awesome. a way of explaining it. Sure.
Yeah,
well, you guys have seen that fungus, right? That
Yeah.
jumps into the spiders and then it takes possession of their body.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's also the slugs that get like a parasite, and the parasite like takes over these like slugs and snails, and they do all kinds of like counter survival type behaviors.
Like they steal motorcycles. And
Yes.
no, that's orangutans and motorboats.
We just go off like the deep end.
Right, like back to why we edit.
like they steal motorcycles. Like no, orangutans. What?
The thing is, I'm partially lactose intolerant.
Oh, well, that makes
that
sense.
explains a lot. Yeah.
Does it?
I don't know if it does, really.
Yeah, it'd have to be a pretty big pot pie.
Did you know that morphine doesn't touch gas paints? It's true.
So much.
If he makes that in and I can't get any of mine in, I'm going to be so frustrated.
And that comes back to my way of editing. I edit blades.
And never rich.
Never rich.
I can just say whatever I want. And just edit it.
And it makes him so frustrated. Why do I do it? Because it makes him frustrated.
I thought that. Okay, so you need to read the attack on it.
What's that?
Oh, just like the one where we were going like sound check. Like I thought it was the one where Blade just says it for like 5 minutes straight.
The pen is what?
The Penn Island one. The pen.
Yes.
Like,
Oh, this last one is the whole
oh.
Attack on Titan monologue.
Oh yeah.
Do you want me to play it or not?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right, here goes.
Wow.
This is the last.
We're over anyway.
This is the last one.
So you need to read the Attack on Titan book.
Is the comic really, really good?
It's like pre
Like before they made the 3 city walls and stuff?
pre-Aaron time frame.
Right. Is
But
it like
it's
the
during
initial
the
fall of the
walls.
world?
It's like
Oh.
70 years, yeah.
70 years in the
Like
past?
that specific. The thing is, there's like 30 of them, but this one's dealing specifically with this guy who's called the Titan Son.
Okay.
There's this pregnant lady gets eaten by. She was a wife of somebody in the Survey Corps,
Uh-huh.
and he died, and she's now part of like the people who praise and
the walls?
Titans.
Yeah.
No, the Titans.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a
Weird.
religion that apparently they believe the god, like Titans were sent by the gods, and like
to punish people.
to punish people and
yeah,
stuff
yeah.
like that. And so like open the gates so we can go see the Titans kind of thing. And they're like, no, you're crazy. No, you're just crazy and demented. No, we're not opening up the gates so you can go get eaten by the Titans. But somebody ends up opening up the door anyway,
Uh-huh.
and so this Titan comes in and ends up eating the lady who's like leading the charge, who is married to the Survey Corps guy, but she's pregnant. And so they get eaten, whatever, and they end up like fighting off the Titan. And like before the Titan leaves, though, he like vomits up the people, right, like he normally does. And
Titans are such, they're, what do you call it, bulimic?
yeah,
They're always doing that. I mean, they can't even digest their food.
no, apparently not.
You
like-
know, I mean, which is good for the people they eat.
Yeah, you're worse than a bulimic
no.
Titan. That's
Wow.
terrible.
So the Titan like ends up vomiting up all the corpses, right? That's not cute. That's
That's
ugly.
like a grave Titan.
Squirrel storm. That's ugly. Anyway,
Whenever you attack,
stop distracting me so I can get done with this. We can move on
Sorry.
with our pregame. Anyway, so the Titan vomits up all the people, right? And
This is
inside
so
of it,
long.
they hear like this rumbling noise, and like, what's going on? What's going on? They hear like crying, and they like rip open the bodies and look through it because they're like freaking out because like, is this how Titan babies are made? Like through the vomit? Like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And like, they like end up opening up the gal, like ripping her open, and there's like this baby, and he's just like, ah, like crying. So like, it's the Titan son. They call it the Titan son because they're like, this has never happened before. Like the baby lived through it. Blah 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 blah. You know.
So she was dead, but the baby wasn't? Is that what
Right.
you're saying?
Yeah. The baby wasn't, and so they end up trapping the kid. They end up like chaining him up and like holding him up and like letting him not eat and keeping him a prisoner for years and
They're
years
thinking
and
that
years.
he's a
Like, yeah, because they think he's a freaking Titan, so they're like,
He's a
you know, we don't know what to
Titan
do with
spawn.
you. Yeah, they think he's Titan spawn. This really, really like rich family who's like part of the military ends up buying him up. I'm spoiler alert, obviously, through all of that. They end up buying him
I
up.
love when people spoiler after. And this happens.
So I've been talking for
spoiler
10
alert,
minutes. Spoiler alert.
Well, no, it's just like, yeah. So the kid, one of the sons.
And Luke was like, "You're not my father." Oh, by the way, spoiler alert. But he was.
Yeah. But the son of the rich family is like, I guess, being trained to like lead the army.
Oh, here.
And so
is this
basically
it?
the rich family like buys him just so that the kid can beat the living out of the Titan son on a daily basis to, you know, grow strong.
Oh, what a good plan.
And so like this kid now, like rather than just being starved to death, is now getting kicked every freaking day. And the daughter, the sister, is like,
Feels bad.
no. She's like, I have to kill the Titan son. My family will be better if we kill the Titan son. I don't know why they brought that monster to my home. So she goes downstairs with a knife, and she's like, oh, it's just a boy, like in the basement, like locked up. And she's like, goes to stab him, like kind of like, you know. And he like grabs a knife and is like goes to stab himself because he's like, I'm like trying to commit suicide because he's like, obviously his life's been his entire life. And she like stops him and she's like, wait, you want to die? And he's like, must fight back, because that's the only thing he's ever learned, because he's been told the entire time that he's been getting his ass kicked, must fight back, you have to fight back. And he just never has. And so she ends up like teaching him like, you know, Japanese and whatever, and teaching him like
And what was this?
Attack on Titan,
The comic book.
the comic book that we just got yesterday.
Anyway.
The manga, actually, I was totally off, but
Yeah. So that is only a portion of the outtakes.
Yeah, so if you're not a podcast fan, we throw some of these at the very end.
Every episode has these sort of outtakes at the end in the song and at the end, just depending. So that's one of the reasons to download the podcast, is because I probably spend as much time doing that as I do
And the actual editing.
editing. Anyway, I think that's about it, except for I think that we're pretty much there. Anything else you guys want to talk about?
I laughed really hard.
That was some
a
good,
lot of moments
those are
I've
some-
kind of forgotten about.
a lot of moments, and it's like, why did we even? That's the thing I like to do, is when I pull out these outtakes, I like to take things that, out of context, you're like, how does that even fit into any conversation?
like a bulimic Titan.
Anyway,
yeah.
all right.
So on to the combat.
Go fight, win.
Okay. You want to move on, or you want to do anything?
I think so. I think we've been going on for a little bit.
I think so too.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, self-gratifying, I guess you could say, just to look back. Hey, we take one episode to look back at some of the fun times, and I can see some people in the chat room are
Hopefully people have been laughing along with us. It's
Yeah.
been fun for us anyways.
Yeah. Anyway, so here
Well, I had fun.
so here we go.
Combat phase.
All right. So what happened in combat this week? You opened a box.
Yeah, I opened up a booster box today. I got a, what was it? I got a Sarkon. I got a foil Bloodstone Flooded Strand, Windswept Heath, and a Wooded Foothills, and a bunch of other stuff I can't remember because it didn't matter. So, but yeah, that's my combat. Like, just release weekend, lots of cool stuff getting open, lots and lots of product going.
Did you guys do some more Sealed tournaments for Sealed Weekend?
No, nobody wanted to, but
Everybody's just like, I'm just gonna open my box.
basically everybody's like, I just want booster boxes. Yeah, so it's been really cool. Like, I've heard some crazy stories. On average, it seems like it's about 2.5 fetch lands per box from what I hear. But I've seen some people like Kenny opened up one that had 7 fetches in it.
What?
But then he pulled up one with 2 and another one with 3, so it averaged out to be like way
Right.
less. Well, yeah, less than that. But yeah. So like I've seen other booster boxes get like no fetch lands or no planeswalkers, like maybe 2 mythics, and I've seen some get like 7 mythics. Like it's been really weird. The set's kind of wonky. I don't know if that's just something they do purposefully, you know.
I think that is something because there's apps out there that actually lets you map out your booster box and what rares you're gonna open and where at, so that you can open the money out of it and then you can draft with the rest of them.
Yeah.
Can they tell on this set? Are they?
You have to open a certain number of
because some sets
boxes first.
Because some sets are
I don't
easier
know.
to map than other ones.
Yeah, I don't know.
They crack the set and they're.
I think they're trying to make it so people can't map it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what they're aiming towards.
Yeah, because they're afraid they don't want people to repackage.
Well, and I think it's also because they know that people are going to buy so much product of it anyways, that they want to like kind of reward like maybe some more casual people who don't want to buy 3 cases, and give them maybe like the one guy who happens to get the lucky box. You know what I mean? And they don't get fetches. Oh well, like I think it's just something they're trying. But I heard there was a YouTube video that went out on Thursday before they got sold on Friday, last Thursday, that some guy opened up like 9 fetches, of which like 6 of them were foil. And you got like 3 Sarkons and stuff.
What?
And there was some shop owner who opened it on Thursday rather than Friday, and I personally kind of think it was just maybe some company might have put it online to try to get some hype. Huge speculation, but I don't know. We'll see. Like, because I mean, it makes sense, right? Like, hey, look at the cool stuff you can get and what kind of boxes. You know what I mean? Like, whereas like at least like the God packs, like there was physical proof, you know, throughout 6 months to 9 months. You know what I mean, of people going, hey, look, I got a God pack. I mean, Damon got one.
Damon
for
got
goodness sake.
Yep.
It's like there's proof of that, and I haven't seen any proof out of all the cases I've seen opened yet that there's been anything like that. So, but that was my whole combat, just working.
All right, Blades, how about you? What did you do?
I was scrambling till the last minute last week for F&M because I didn't have a deck built, and I had spent so much money at the pre-release that I didn't want to spend any more for the release to do another sealed. My wife sort of had to talk with me about it. Yeah, she's just pulled
But
me.
tampons are totally
Balance.
$50.
Yeah, tampons are totally $50.
That's right.
But so I'm just like, oh, I need to play something. I need to play something cheap. I can't. I don't have enough for a full deck. So
Saito to the rescue, right?
Saito to the rescue.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was posting lists all that morning, and I was just sifting through them on Twitter. And he posted this one mono red list that it was just full of commons and uncommons and only one rare Fire Drink Crusader.
Oh
which
yeah,
is
and
a
he's cheap
$1
anyways.
rare.
Yeah.
And I figured, you know what, I'll just throw this together, and I absolutely did, and I had a lot of fun with it, and it was like the worst cheap deck that I've ever done well with.
Sweet.
So that was actually really, really good. The only issue with the list that I felt was that for playing, it was playing 20 mountains, and then the rest were 1-drops outside of the Stoke the Flames.
You almost feel like you dropped to 18 or something.
Yeah, I'm thinking like moving it down slowly down to 19 if I continue to play it at all. I don't know what else can go into it. I mean,
Lightning Strike or something.
No, something else 1-drop. Keep it on theme.
Yeah.
Crater Claws. Claws or whatever.
Really?
It's one red and X. I mean, it's a 1-drop.
Maybe,
Just
but
saying.
it was very aggressive.
You know, in
and
case
it
you
was
flood.
very consistent. It very consistently had the turn 1-drop.
Right.
Sweet.
Which, what else could you want?
Damon?
1-drops.
What did you do this week?
So I had the opportunity to start the clinical side of my new job as a psych nurse at the hospital. However, I was also in the process of trying to exit my old job. And so I ended up working 9 days in a row, which isn't like ridiculous. I know all sorts of people that work for like 30 and 60 days in a row. Like that exists out there. But I am not that man. And I ended on like a 12-hour shift 4-hour shift, 12-hour shift, like were my last 3 days. So I kind of ended on hard mode. I did have today off. And, of course, I used it constructively to apply for school because, hey, why not get, more busy in the midst of busy. But, honestly, like, working 3/12s a week will probably free me up for some time.
You ever want something done, find a busy person, and they're usually the ones that can get it done. So.
Right, yeah, I don't know. I actually really enjoyed the change of pace at work. My other job, I've mentioned several times, like, I watch a lot of SpongeBob. And even though it's 12 hours, like, it's busy and consistent enough that like I just feel like I don't really notice it until I hit like 10 hours. So
you're almost done by then.
And then by then,
you're like, I haven't eaten today.
Right. Actually, I didn't eat till from 5 a.m. till 2 p.m. I finally got a chance to eat. So,
and you missed out on Oktoberfest.
Yeah, that also happened. Yeah. Anyway, so needless to say, in the middle of all of that, I have not played Magic this week. Unfortunately, I really wanted to try to hit up a sealed event for the release weekend since the wedding was 2 weekends ago, but it just wasn't in the cards for me.
It wasn't in the cards, huh? Got it.
Anyways.
And I haven't done much. I played a little bit of Duels of the Planeswalkers. I updated my iOS on the iPad to version 8, and it's actually running better. So
cool.
It hasn't crashed once yet. Knock on wood.
Right.
So that's been nice.
And you've also been finishing up some stuff with the app.
I've been working on stuff with the app. I was going to talk about that in a minute, but I haven't done much on Visible because I've been doing some behind-the-scenes stuff, which we'll talk about in a second. All right. Anything else in our combat phase?
I think I'm good anyways.
All right.
Second main phase.
So in our second main phase, we have some email feedback. This is from Michael. He says, "Hey guys, I wanted to start by saying that that out of all the MTG podcasts I listen to, you are, in my opinion, the best one. Not only do you hit many spectrums of the game, you teach tips to new players while engaging the experienced player. Not an easy thing to do. I'm a big fan of watching your Twitch stream and Fight Club. You have asked for ideas for shows, and I had one. I don't know if you've done a show on this before. If you have, let me know. If you have, let me know what episode. My brother and I have been trying to step up our game in FNM. We have both learned a lot from your leveling up your game episodes, and we both have started to get better win-loss records. We are now at the point we feel we just need to get better at refining our decks before each Friday. What tips would you have at finding the weak points of a deck? Outside of playing at our LGS, it is usually just him versus me. Any tips would help, and thanks for the great content." So what do you guys think? Is this something you could handle in a few sentences, or is this something we want to give an episode to?
I actually think that as far as refining decks, goes, that there's a topic I've been wanting to cover now for several weeks that just with the release of Khans of Tarkir and stuff like that, we haven't had
what you're talking about.
Time to do. But the idea is opportunity cost. That you can only draw one card off of the top of your deck each time, and so making sure each one of those cards is powerful.
Right.
So that's a very quick summation of what opportunity cost is, but it actually affects not only every point in Magic, but like it's been the biggest sort of thing that I've learned from Magic in my own life in a personal way too.
Exactly.
And so I really think that, talking about opportunity cost as far as card selection, and that a card, I think it's easy to get caught in a trap where Disenchant costs 1 white mana, and if I'm killing Courser Crewfix or Banishing Light, then this Disenchant's awesome.
Right.
But is that always the best card? If you draw it against a deck that isn't running enchantments, is that a good thing?
Kind of the
and that's kind of the basic, thing. That I'm picking an obvious.
If it hits more things, the better off it is, right? The more modal it is, the higher.
So let's save that for an episode.
Yeah.
I think we'll go into that. That sounds good. That's the only piece of direct feedback I have this week. I had a couple of requests for life pads that I'll be sending those out.
Awesome.
I'll be sending those out soon. Excuse me. iTunes reviews. I actually got 2.
Oh, sweet. We had a big stream week last week, so that's cool.
Yeah. This one is from Eric, spelled interestingly. Eric, 1993. One of the best structured podcasts about Magic: The Gathering out there. All of the hosts are very friendly and funny, filled with good, sometimes wrong, information, but they always correct themselves or someone does it for them. I have been listening to them about 2 months and have learned a great deal of information from the podcast. Keep up the great work, guys, and here's to another great year. All right, so thanks, Eric. And it's true. Sometimes if we say something misspeak, there's always someone across the table that is willing to help us out. So that's great. Thanks for that 5-star review. Here's another one by Anubis.
Anubis?
Could be, but it's a 1 instead of
Right.
an I. Yeah. This is one of the best podcasts for Magic the Gathering. It covers everything from new to experienced players. While listening to this podcast, you feel like you are part of the conversation. And now with the live stream, you can be. Excellent content while keeping you entertained. I recommend this podcast to anyone thinking about or currently playing MTG. Now download and listen. You won't regret it. So those are great. Those two get to be added into the contest, which if you were here last week, Judge Jeremy is offering up one of his playmats.
And he's been all over the country, at least, you know,
Yeah.
doing different GPs and
So
stuff.
one of you guys that have submitted 5-star reviews this year is going to win a cool playmat. And I think
Yeah.
there's only like 30 or so that are actually in that pool right
yeah,
now.
I mean, honestly, like,
I don't know. Like last week, I don't know how many he said he was gonna. Because I'm sure he's got some he's gonna keep, but yeah, like he'll give you a big selection of stuff.
Yeah, he's going to pick out a large selection you get to pick from.
Yep.
Yep.
Either way, playmat, sweet.
Anyway, so that's the contest. I do want to work on a new contest, guys. I was going to bring that up earlier. So we do have we have to decide what we want to do, an a Zoom one, or maybe a deck contest, or anyway.
if you guys have any ideas for contests or something that you'd like to participate in, definitely let us know.
And the poll for the every other week. What draws you to Magic the Gathering other than just playing? This is the one I'm retiring this week. We've had 26 responses. 4 have said artwork. 1 said buying and selling. 2 said storyline flavor. 2 said community. 10 said all of the above. And 4 said just playing Magic. Who cares about the other stuff? So that was good. There's quite a large section. A lot of them just said pretty much everything, which is, I think, a lot of us would respond the same way. Here's the new one. Are you guys looking at the doc right now? Did you see what I wrote down? I actually wrote this down.
Yes, I saw that. It's pretty sweet.
Is it okay the way
Yeah,
it is? Okay.
I think it's great.
What do you think? Where do you think MTGYou will be in a year? That's the new poll. Number 1, in the bargain bin at Kmart. Number 2, doing a nightclub act in Vegas. Number 3, right where they are now in the garage of some guy's house. Number 4, it puts the lotion on.
Does that mean we've been kidnapped by someone terrifying?
That's just a weird comment.
It does. It is. Number 5, primetime television on Thursday nights.
Now taking over for Jimmy Kimmel.
That's right. Or number 6, you tell us. I'm going to leave a blank there and let you
Come up with something?
come
up with
up with
something
something
crazy.
Yeah. So that will be on the website in the next day or two. Check back if you don't see it right away. Sometimes it takes me a day or something to get that up. And finally, I want to talk a little bit. I just want to give a weekly update about the app. If many of you, we talked about this last week. There's an app that's going out to everybody that's an MTGYou listener can use the app. You go to app.mtgyu.com. I'm doing some behind-the-scenes stuff right now, and that's why you haven't seen any changes this week, really. I did get the log-on screen. Yeah. What did I say? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm doing some behind-the-scenes stuff that doesn't really make it look different, but it's going to make it better and more robust in the future. So every week I'll try to just give you a little update about new things that I've done or whatever. And I am planning on doing some like little videos that just 1-2 minute videos that show off ways of using the site.
And just in case people don't know what it is, it's kind of basically like if Gatherer had a baby with like a finance, Magic the Gathering site that also allowed you to make comments on cards. I mean, kind of like Gatherer does as well. That also allowed you to build decks and
And it's a baby right now.
It is a baby, but the cool thing about it being a baby is we can teach it what we want it to do.
That's right. And
we can have people write in and
the community gets to help me decide how
cat is dog and dog is cat.
Yeah,
we can teach it to speak with a British accent from the time it's young because little children who speak with British accents are adorable.
That's right. There he goes back to his Russian accent that isn't Russian.
I thought that was French.
I thought that was French
That
too.
was French.
But the callback was great.
Oh, and also I'm removing ads from the website. We'll see where they go in the future. We'll just kind of leave that out there. So, is that it? Anything else
so.
you guys can think of? Have I left anything out?
No, it's been a fun time talking about the the good old days where we started, and hopefully it makes me excited about where we're headed.
Well, I look at where we started, because we clearly heard that at the beginning of the show, how awkward, and we had a microphone in front of us, and we didn't really know how to speak into it, to now we're streaming, we put out all other content, we're on video.
And YouTube and Twitch. And
And I still don't know how to speak into a mic.
Yeah, you do. Never mind. Okay. Oh, one last thing. We have a new song. And I know it wasn't at the beginning.
Because it's not the new season yet.
It is now.
Ooh.
We're closing out with the new song.
Oh, nice.
And here it goes.
It's like the end of school year, you know?
Yep. Here it goes.
Just kidding.
End step.
If you want to contact us, you can send email to mtgyyoupodcast@gmail.com. Interact with us on Facebook by going to facebook.com/mtgyu. Follow us on Twitter @TheMTGU. Catch us live on Thursday nights on twitch.tv